Democrats are skeptical at the confirmation hearing for Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth.
Now, I've heard of deathbed conversions, but this is the first time I've heard of a nomination conversion.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren suggesting Hegseth's views haven't really changed, including past criticism of women serving in combat roles. Hegseth says the president-elect wants meritocracy at the Pentagon.
What gender you are, what race you are, your views on climate change, or whether you are a person of conscience and your faith should have no bearing on whether you get promoted or whether you're selected to go to West Point or whether you graduate from Ranger School.
Republican senators defending Hegseth as a change agent and criticizing a focus on past allegations of misconduct.
How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job?
Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen a short time ago.
And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down?
Hegseth has called some of the allegations against him a smear campaign.
You recently promised some of my Republican colleagues that you stopped drinking and won't drink if confirmed, correct?
Absolutely.
He stopped short of answering Senator Mazie Hirono's question on whether he'd resign if he drinks as defense chief. An extreme fire risk remains in Southern California.
I urge, and everybody here urges you to remain alert as danger has not yet passed. Please follow all evacuation warnings and orders without delay and prioritize your safety.
LA City Fire Chief Christian Crowley as Santa Ana winds return to the region devastated by the wildfires fanned by high winds last week. America is listening to Fox News.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
28 should do it for kind of a cold afternoon on this Tuesday, but we should start to see a little more in the way of sunshine as we work our way through the afternoon. Tonight, clear. It's cold overnight. Light winds, a temperature tumble 7. And then on Wednesday, sunny skies 29. Thursday, sunny, a little better in the afternoon. Not a lot, but better, 41 and 47 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hey, it's Mark Rearden for Underdog Sports, and if you're a Missouri resident like me, I've got great news. Underdog is now available to play in our state. It's the best place to cash in on all of your takes during the playoffs, which players are going off, which ones are ice cold. They have over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, and they have a champs game. And with that game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money by simply choosing higher or lower on stats. So yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and more. Will Jordan Love throw more than 2.5 interceptions? Will Justin Jefferson have more than 3 TDs? You can cook up some really interesting entries. You can mix and match with hockey or the NBA. The Champs platform is the only platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands. And Underdog is the best place to play Champs. Download the app, sign up with promo code MARKR, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code MARKR. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Download the Underdog app today.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been hurt on the job, you need the best. Onder Law. Hurt on the job? Call Onder Law today for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Our standards will be high and they will be equal, not equitable. That's a very different word. We need to make sure every warrior is fully qualified on their assigned weapon system, every pilot's fully qualified and current on the aircraft they are flying, and every general or flag officer is selected for leadership or promotion purely based on performance, readiness, and merit. Leaders at all levels will be held accountable, and warfighting and lethality and the readiness of the troops and their families will be our only focus.
Pete Hegseth on Capitol Hill right now, participating in a brutal committee hearing. This is committee, right? In order to determine whether or not he is going to be confirmed as the Secretary of Defense in Donald Trump's cabinet. Welcome to the Annie Fry Show. Thank you for being here with us today. It has been wild to listen into at least the parts that I've been able to. Started listening to it this morning, was able to listen to it coming in to work. And I gotta say that from where you were sitting as one who is emerging from the Obama years that have really kind of catered and organized the Biden years, that we like dipped our toe into what Trumpism was, and enough people in a very timely year of COVID were able to come together to sit Donald Trump down for 4 years. But boy, at the end of the day, this is going to be for the betterment of the country. Oh, man. You know, like in the Old Testament where Joseph has a dream and he's like,
oh, I like where this is going.
Things are going to be great. Things are going to be awesome. But you're going to have to prepare a little bit. Don't like wallow in your wealth and your riches and your plentifulness, because then it's going to get real bad. But you're going to be prepared when it gets real bad. You know, it feels very Joseph-like to me to watch where we were and with Donald Trump the first time, and to really see how I watched over Christmas break, I should add, I watched Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which I think is a wonderful play. I saw it in the Chicago theater maybe when I was in grade school. I think it was like 1996 or 97, and Donny Osmond was Joseph.
I was going to say, was it the Donny Osmond version?
Yes, and the Donny Osmond version is the one that I bought for like $20 off of Amazon or something.
It's hard to find.
And it looks like it's off of a 1997 television.
Yeah, somebody just recorded the TV.
I mean, it's the official thing, but I was like, you had to go across the room to make it come into focus because it was not good.
The TVs are bigger. The resolution's worse.
Yes, it did. That math didn't math well for us. But my kids loved the story, and I was just watching this, and so it became top of mind to me about how the idea that countries, nations, people go through periods of prosperity and suffering is as old as time. That's not new. That's not different. Resolve and faith. If you're a Bible-believing person, in this case, maybe just an Old Testament Bible-believing person, you see how these things happen over the history of time, and you see how we come through it or how people don't. And I just look at the last 4 years as a time of American low. Pete Hegseth is sitting here at this hearing, and what he is saying and delivering is a message that at first, I wonder if you're feeling the same way as I am. At first, he's saying things that make me want to hide under my desk because I'm like, oh, Lord, we don't say those things out loud. You're cooked. And then I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe say some more of those things. You look pretty confident. Let's see what you can get away with. And at the end, I'm like, yeah, you go, Pete Hegseth. You let him know. You say what you think and don't be afraid. And he's full on, like, I'm thinking the things he's saying sound toxically masculine to me. But it's the Secretary of Defense. If you ever wanted toxic masculinity at its highest peak, it's when you're fighting wars. He uses words. I think I don't know if they pull these things. I don't know how much politics comes in. I don't know how much is just Pete Hegseth's way of talking about it. He keeps referring to war fighters. He talks about being the Secretary of Defense and about creating a scenario where we have the best war fighters. That is not the way we've talked. We don't even acknowledge that. We are anti-war people. We don't even really say we're for peace. We're just anti-war. And there is a real true fact to understanding the value of peace. What's that phrase we keep hearing? Peace through strength. The idea of deterrence, there has to be something behind deterrence. Do you know how we know that? Because in these last 4 years of famine that we've been in, we've got a president whose foreign policy was don't. It's not the 4-letter word that I had in mind. Don't. And he, that's the one time he can find the camera and the word he can read off the teleprompter is don't. And then they do. Like, within 24 hours, they do. And then what? We fund the other side. That's not America first. I don't even know what that is. And honestly, if you don't know who the first priority is in a situation, if it's obvious it's not America first, there's somebody who's first in that equation. And if it's not the taxpayer whose money is being shipped overseas to defend something that we don't fully understand, it's time to course correct. And when you know that Donald Trump is advocating dramatically how we will push back in a strong sense immediately, even before he takes the oath of office regarding the hostage situation. He says there will be hell to pay. When you listen to how he talks about Ukraine and Russia, and he says, when Donald Trump is talking about the war between Ukraine and Russia, he talks about how young men are dying. He will always talk about, this is something I've learned from him. I didn't know this about Ukraine specifically, but he's like, Ukraine is flat. Bullets fly until a body stops them. He talks about how the war over there is incredibly deadly. And he actually doesn't discern about only caring about the deaths of Ukrainians. He says, there are young Russians losing their lives here too. And for what? He wants that war to end. Stop and think about it for a second. Do you really hear the Biden administration talking about the war ending? Is there a clarion call from Joe Biden and the administration for the war to stop? Not a strong one. It's not the leading message. The leading message is that we back Ukraine. You can tell because you can go on X and people have the Ukrainian flag in their profile as some sort of virtue signal to everybody to know which political side you vote for in America. Isn't that weird? Isn't that super bizarre? Because when you really walk down that path, what you realize is we have a Department of Defense, we have a military structure in the United States who has created a Democrat stamp on social media platforms. You can just show the Ukrainian flag, and that indicates that you are somehow or another a supporter of the Joe Biden administration and their activities in Ukraine and the Ukrainian-Russian war. We're not fighting in that. We are funding the fighting in that. When you have to ask yourself about the Biden administration, why are they doing what they're doing? Why? I mean, you're watching the news, and then you look to your spouse sitting next to you, and you're like, am I missing something here? Because this doesn't seem like it's in our best interest. This kind of seems stupid. And so then you look left and you look right, and you're like, I'm missing something here. Why would we do this? Why would we have wide open borders? Why would we allow people we don't know to come into this country and live where we don't know where they go? And not really, what do they say, like 90% of the people don't show up for their court date? Something to that effect?
Yeah.
Why would it be so apparent that these are the realities of what exists in this country? Why would a president allow these types of things to happen? And the answer, 100% of the time, for the Democrats and Joe Biden is because they have weighed the outcomes and the way that whatever the thing is going, they feel gets them more votes than the other side. That's not America first. That's not America at all. That's not America last. It's not even in the equation. It's not even a factor in the equation of how these people think. And Americans have finally figured that out en masse and sent Donald Trump back to the Oval Office to get things right again. Because one of the things that Pete Hegseth has said today, he referred to the phrase that's been used regarding our military, our unity is our strength. And he said, that's the stupidest thing, that's the most dangerous thing that I've ever heard. Our unity isn't our strength. Our common purpose is our strength. And if you look at our military for the last 4 years, and probably even going before that, if you look at them and you see all the efforts that have been made to strengthen the diversity and the equity that exists in our very inclusive military, that has been the purpose of the United States military. And it's not the shared purpose, because you see people who have already signed their name on their line, put their life on the line for their country, who were there before this is what the military became. And it's not why they're there. They're there because they have the shared purpose of defending the integrity, the freedom, the liberties of the United States of America, which is the most self-sacrificial purpose that an American can serve. And the Democrats figured out a way. How was it that Barack Obama put it about Joe Biden? You remember that phrase? Don't underestimate Joe Biden's ability to
blank things up.
The United States military? What happens? What happens when America lays down and tries to virtue signal? What is it? Why would we do this? Go back to the point I just made. Politics. They think that they're going to squeeze votes out of it. You see DEI as a leading charge in companies all across the country, all across the world. And now all of a sudden it's not trendy anymore. So they're dumping their DEI policies because it's not on trend. Companies use DEI because they think they're going to sell you widgets because you want to be a part of something that is good and right. The military, under the commander-in-chief, Joe Biden, and it would have been Kamala Harris, is trying to sell you the idea of virtue in exchange for votes and money and power. And America looks around the world and sees the world literally on fire right now. Disaster areas in nearly every hemisphere, and they say, we can't afford this. And oh yeah, by the way, I'm not really a bad person. I'm not a racist person, and you've kind of tried to make it seem like by default the color of my skin determines how I rank on the social ladder. I kind of think that that's racist, and I'm not really afraid to say that out loud. Pete Hegseth, in his confirmation hearing, out here exquisitely explaining to the American people the purpose of war fighting. It's to deter people from starting the wars and winning the wars once they happen. Full stop. It doesn't matter what color your skin is if you're bleeding out on the battlefield because your blood is red. That's a very simple concept. That's not a complicated thought. And it is very strange that we are in a moment in time in American history where when you initially hear him saying things that are so wonderfully common sense that at first you're like, I don't know that we say these things out loud. You're like, oh, now we do. There's a new sheriff in town in 6 days. We're going to get back to the business of putting America first so that while you're raising young men, as I am, you are not afraid of their future in an unstable world. We're going to get back to the idea of America, that name America meaning something once again. Of knowing what it's like when America is coming to a meeting, who's leading and who's in charge and who's leading because they have the success and the strength to do so. And yes, virtue in doing so. Pete Hegseth is being masterful in his ability to say who he is, unafraid of what the lefties on this panel have worked very hard to shame people from even saying out loud. He's doing so with no fear. And going into this confirmation, we have heard from many Republican senators. What do we got, 53 and a half with Fetterman?
Okay.
He should be at least 3/4. He's a big dude.
Well, he is a big dude.
Yeah. You get a little extra.
Okay.
53 Republicans. Pete Hegseth, unless he says something profoundly off the charts here, he's got 53 votes. He will get Democrat votes, I firmly believe. I will remind you that there were 2 senators who did not vote for Austin, the current Secretary of Defense, the one who had a surgery because he had a prostate problem, and he just wasn't there. And he didn't tell Joe Biden. I still wonder if he told Joe Biden forgot to pass it along. 98 senators voted for Lloyd Austin. Pete Hegseth is qualified for this position. We're going to play some more of the clips of what we've experienced, some of the highlights, including we've got Eric Schmidt. He is on this panel, and he just went through some of the questioning. We're going to get to that as well throughout the course of the show. It's been wonderful to listen to. It's challenging. It's confrontational. But we're in the confrontation right now, and we're winning. And by we, I mean America. We're back. As they keep saying, we're so back. When we come back, Joe Concha is going to talk to us, colleague of Pete Hegseth at Fox News. I'm going to get his reaction to this moment in time. It feels like we've reached the top of the bubble and we're about to slide down the other side with our hands up saying we the whole way down, high-fiving about the ride that we've been on. Things are a-changing, and Joe Concha is going to react to all of that next. And stick around at 1:05. Jim Carafano, we're going to ask him about the Pete Hegseth confirmations and how dramatically the shift in mentality from Washington, D.C. is when it comes to our military operations. One administration to the next. Jim Carafano at 1:05. Joe Concha on the Annie Fry Show next.
First class and fancy free. She's high society.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
She's got the best of every.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
She's perfect as she can be. Why should I even bother?
STS Armory online at sts-armory.com. Also in Pontoon Beach. Katie and Jesse, the owners at STS Armory, that's who the Fry family goes to for anything Second Amendment, purchasing guns, ammunition, safety devices. I have safes, security measures, obviously got little kids in the house. We just recently got my son his state ID, and we're going to be able to sign him up and get his FOID card, and I'm going through them for all of that. They're guides when it comes to making sure that you are exercising your Second Amendment rights in the state of Illinois. It is still possible to do so, so don't think otherwise. But also education, being able to put my son in education courses that are designed for youth. Being able to ourselves, my husband and I just recently got our conceal and carry license renewal done with STS Armory. If you are looking for safety courses, for female-only courses, drawing from concealment courses, trainer-level courses, STS Armory, top to bottom, is the place to go for all things firearms ownership and responsibility in Illinois. You can visit them in Pontoon Beach. You can visit them online at sts-armory.com.
Step outside and fall in love with your backyard again. From inviting porch overhangs to durable composite decks and cozy screen rooms, Lakeside Renovation and Design creates stunning outdoor living spaces designed for relaxation, entertaining, and making memories. With expert craftsmanship and top-quality materials, your new outdoor oasis will be perfect for every season. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today or visit lakesiderd.com to get started. Let's turn your backyard into the retreat you've always dreamed of.
Do you want to kickstart planning for your retirement this year? I know a quick and easy way to do this. It's a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. It's kind of like getting the Cliff Notes on how you can make your money go a lot further in retirement. Hey, it's Dave Glover from KMOX. This one-night class is taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience. They're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You're going to learn about tax saving strategies, IRA and 401k withdrawals, Roth conversions, Social Security, and more. There's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are still openings for the classes this month and next, so call 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110. That's my personal number, 314-350-8110 for Financial and Tax Architects.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Level up the comfort of your home this winter with either free attic insulation or an air scrubber. With a new HVAC system installation from Air Comfort Service. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
97.1 FM Talk encourages you to support Red Cross Disaster Relief. Visit redcross.org or text the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. Your gift enables the Red Cross to help people recover from disasters big and small.
Oh, what you know, Joe? I don't know nothing. What you know, Joe? Tell me something. What you know, Joe?
Addressing the recruiting crisis, the retention crisis, and readiness crisis in our ranks.
Members of the security force will remove members.
Oh, what you know, Joe?
Joe Concha, Fox News contributor.
Well, I mean, are you even really succeeding if protesters don't show up to your confirmation hearings? Joe Concha joins us once again, Fox News contributor, author of a book coming out soon, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign, which is coming out in April. Joe, welcome back to the show. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Annie. I guess we can still say that because we haven't spoken since New Year. So if you see somebody for the first time, you could say Happy New Year up until the 15th, I believe, is Rule 28B. Right?
we snuck it in just in time, didn't we?
By a day.
What's it like watching your, obviously your colleague there at Fox News, former colleague, I suppose, sit in front of this panel of senators, and it's so jarring. Republican, Democrat. How do you think he's doing so far?
I think he's crushing it, quite frankly, Annie. And look, I may be a touch biased in this regard because I appeared on and still appear on Fox and Friends Weekend on a regular basis. I've gotten to know Pete well, his wife Jen, I've known for years. I used to work for her, believe it or not, when I was a writer at Fox, and she was my executive producer. And I could just go down the line as far as my kids have met his kids, and I'll just leave it there. All that said, let's say I didn't know Pete Hegseth. I would see this questioning from the Democratic side as being the theater of the absurd. I mean, it's just so cheesy, the performance art we're seeing from these senators involved. I mean, it's constant interrupting. He can't get through 3 letters or words of an answer without being interrupted and yelled at in the most condescending way. And Tim Kaine, by the way, basically said that Pete isn't qualified to run defense because, he's been divorced. Yeah, you were Hillary Clinton's running mate. Please take 2 seats, Tim. Tammy Duckworth, she evoked Donald Trump's bankruptcies from decades ago to argue that Trump isn't qualified to be the commander-in-chief. But Mazi Harino, and then later it was Senator Kelly, they accused Pete of repeatedly being drunk while on the air on Fox, and they based it on these garbage stories based on anonymous sources. Here's what I know. The only people who have gone on the record about Pete's behavior at Fox News have had nothing but positive things to say about him, including Will Cain, Rachel Campbell-Stuffy, his co-hosts, including myself. Pete works hard. He's always professional, friendly, respectful. And by the way, you host a show. Your show goes on for 3 hours, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Imagine doing 4 hours of TV from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and trying to do that drunk and no one noticing who's watching. It is so ridiculous that's an accusation that's out there. So, as usual, Democrats are overplaying their hand. Not one Republican senator has said publicly they'll vote against Pete, meaning he probably has 53 votes, even if they lose one, perhaps 52. No problem. He's going to get confirmed. And it just – Democrats look like losers today. They just look like losers. I'm sorry.
I think you're so right. We're speaking with Joe Concha right now, a Fox News contributor, does know Pete Hegseth on a personal level. And I think that is something that has been so interesting. One of the questions, I was listening to it, I was streaming Fox News in my car on the way into work. And one of the questions from one of the senators, and I don't know which one it was like, let's just say you did rape somebody. Would that make it so that we shouldn't confirm you? And I'm like, it's just interesting to see how low these Democrats are having to stoop to try to make something out of this.
Yeah, it's like, do you beat your wife? No. Oh, yeah, prove it. It's like you can't disprove a negative. And it's just like the Justice Kavanaugh hearings, right?
Yeah.
Where we saw Kavanaugh being accused of something from a party his sophomore year in 5 years ago, and people saying that it was absolute fact, that it was gospel, right? Led by Kamala Harris, by the way, and Cory Booker at the time. That was 2018. But look at the way it ended. Kavanaugh was still obviously confirmed. He now sits on the Supreme Court, and I think the same thing's going to happen here with Pete, because the thing about these hearings, they've just become so predictable that, there isn't like one Democrat. Like, why can't Fetterman be up there? Because I'm sure that he wouldn't be doing this game that Democrats are doing. And by the way, this all comes with the backdrop of a party that has largely defended the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, right? Mm-hmm. They defend the endless funding of that stalemate over in Ukraine without any accounting of where those hundreds of billions have gone. China and Iran have only been emboldened under Democrat leadership over the last 4 years, especially Iran, which uses its proxies to attack our military station in the Middle East. So, yeah, Democrats talking tough on defense, it just rings so hollow because they've been such a weak party for years when it's come to this, quite frankly. And it just, again, they're overplaying their hand here, Annie.
Yeah, I completely agree. Joe Concha with us right now. I was looking, we're watching Joe Biden give that, air quotes, last foreign policy speech of his presidency yesterday. And we're watching it. We're like, gosh, is he going to make any news? Is it just going to be patting himself on the back? Which is really ironically what it ended up being. And I think a lot of Americans have voted, obviously, accordingly. Don't agree with that sentiment. But he made some sort of comment towards the end of that where he talked about, he's like, hey, everybody just understand the border got more secure when I became president. What do you make of the people? You've written books on Joe Biden, but what do you make of the party that supported the Joe Biden lie, that he was with it, that he was coherent throughout the course of this presidency? Are they going to be able to snap back from deceiving the Americans about who Joe Biden was and how capable he was? How long is that going to take?
For I guess we'll see in the midterms in 2 years, maybe. But yeah, I mean, that cover up, and it wasn't much of a cover up because you could see it in broad daylight that when Joe Biden is shaking hands with the air and he's talking about conversations he's had with dead foreign leaders, like dead for 10, 15, 20 years dead, when he couldn't remember the names of his own cabinet members, falling up the stairs at Air Force One, taking vacation after vacation. 40% of the time, this guy has been on vacation while he's been president because he needs the rest because obviously physically and mentally he's gone. Yet we hear from Democrats that actually behind the scenes, he's this combination of Lamar Jackson meets Stephen Hawking, right? I mean, physically, mentally. This guy's doing quadratic equations and he's telling us how the flux capacitor works. And boy, you just can't keep up with him. So I think, the fact that they pushed this, and then Joe Biden this week saying that, well, if he stayed in the race, he thinks he would have won, which doesn't really explain why he dropped out, but he probably couldn't finish the 4 years. I mean, he actually said that out loud. It's like, oh, that makes total sense. So, he's delusional. He wants his legacy to be something that it wasn't. And he's going to exit now as the most unpopular president since, let's see, Richard Nixon, who obviously resigned. So everybody else since then, people like, Jimmy Carter or, I don't know, pick one, Barack Obama, right, of course. He's going to go out as, one of the most failed presidencies we have ever seen, despite having a media that has tried to prop him up for all these years.
And to call your book out again, we're talking about the greatest comeback ever, and Donald Trump's political victory that we're going to see culminate here in 6 days from now. It's astonishing to see what the American people were sold going into that 2020 election, this unifying president, the adults back in charge, how much you can break everything in 4 years to the extent where Donald Trump is the answer to the problem they thought they solved, fixing the Donald Trump problem in 2020 with Joe Biden. Do you feel like Donald Trump still has the full wind at his back going into this presidency that we're going to see here starting in a week?
Annie, I think he's more powerful than ever. In a way, it's as crazy as it sounds, it's almost good that he lost in 2020, if you believe he lost, only because we never would have seen what the alternative was like. We'd have to imagine what a Biden presidency was like, or we'd have to imagine what a Hillary presidency would be like. And now that people experienced it, they're nostalgic for 2017, 2018, 2019, pre-COVID, because those were very good years. We had peace and we had prosperity. And when you have those two things as a president, you don't have to get into the details very much, you're going to be popular. So now you see Trump at like 57% approval for his transition, 55% approval overall, like 50s. He's never seen the 50s, so that means that Democrats and independents, enough anyway, are coming over and saying, you know what? I may not like Trump personally, or I don't like the mean tweets or whatever, but boy, he knows how to get the job done. I feel like we have a leader again. And Donald Trump, quite frankly, since November 5th, has been more active than Joe Biden has been over the last 4 years as far as making deals without being in power. It's incredible to watch.
It is. It's exciting to watch. I want to get one last question out of you before we let you go. Joe Concha speaking with us right now. When you think forward, you just mentioned the midterms here. Seems crazy to we're barely shaking the dust off of the 2024 election, but we've got probably, 100 days, maybe 6 months max to get things done without the election of a midterm interfering how people might represent themselves in Congress. What is your worry for Republicans or advice for Republicans in these first 6 months or so getting things done while Donald Trump is in charge? Are you concerned?
That because we saw like Thomas Massey, for example, with Mike Johnson saying that, oh no, you could tear my fingernails out, you could chop off my fingers, literally what the guy said, and completely showboating and saying he can never support Mike Johnson. And he ended up not supporting him. Now, I don't mind principles, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to take a stand, but you better have a plan and some pragmatism with it. And Massey never could name who he would replace Mike Johnson with and how that person would get the votes. If I heard a name and I heard a plan, I'd be like, okay, well, let's hear that out. So it's all a matter of Mike Johnson and really Donald Trump hurting all these cats that love to make a big show of things on social media or running to networks where they have more employees than actual viewers watching, the conservative networks not named Fox, so they could, act like they're, really operating off a moral compass to take a stand once and for all. No. Get the things done that President Trump wants to get done. You're right. They have about 6 to 8 months to do that on the border, on taxes particularly. Get those things done, and then you could have your petty fights. But again, there's enough rebels in this caucus that could upset all that because, again, it's a 3-vote margin. 3 votes. Think about that. Yeah. And are there 3 troublemakers around? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, Donald Trump seems to have his hands firmly on the reins right now, and hopefully he's able to continue to lead. And I think he will be. Joe Concha, thank you for the time today. We love speaking with you, and I am very excited for our future conversations in 2025. They're gonna sound different. I'm looking forward to it.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Talk to you again soon. Joe Concha, Fox News contributor. You can find him on X, and I encourage you to do so. He is very active on X, and he brings a lot of things into my site there at Joe Concha TV. His book will be coming out in April, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign. And he told me a little story, not on the air, but personally. He was talking about getting the cover done for that. And it's Trump's comeback story, but he said the cover has to have the McDonald's drive-through photo on it. And they're like, oh, I don't know. He's like, put it on the book. He's like, put it on the book or I'm not writing it. And I'm going to be excited to go through that story again, especially with Joe Concha's voice lent to it. That'll be coming out in April. All right, let's take a quick break. The Pete Hegseth confirmations continue on Capitol Hill, and Jim Carafano will be with us at 1:05 to react to what he has heard, and he's going to talk to us about his thoughts so far on how Pete Hegseth has taken these questions and responded with his answers. What's the grade that Jim Carafano will give Pete? We'll find out at 1:05. But next, we're going to dive into the world of Wiggins America, where it is always that policy of Wiggins first. I think that might be on the bumper stickers in Wiggins America. He's going to tell us how to change our relationship with money in 2025. Ryan Wiggins next. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
What you know, Joe?
Michael's Flooring Outlet, 3 locations in St. Louis, and you've been hearing about Michael's Flooring Outlet for a long time with 97.1, one of our long-time great partnerships, because we love to seek out local businesses, local people who do what they do very well, because we know you're smart. We know that you have an understanding of the importance of the dollar that you earn and making sure that you can purchase great products with it that are quality and not having to sacrifice value at that same time. Michael's Flooring Outlet has all of the different flooring products that you might be shopping for your home project, that basement finish that you're finally getting to here in 2025. It might even be the commercial space that you work in. Your business, you want to refresh. You want to get rid of that old dingy carpet, maybe put down carpet tiles that are a little bit more manageable when it comes to keeping up appearances and cleanliness in that business that you run. Michael's Flooring Outlet can help you with all of that on both sides of the river as well. If you're interested in purchasing flooring, visit Michael's Flooring Outlet online at igotfloored.com.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode, and if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with threats of intents to seize property or levy rights to property. If you have IRS issues, call the Lance Drury Firm today. Today, don't wait. Those IRS notices have hard deadlines for exercising your appeal rights. If you miss the deadline, your rights to a legal appeal are gone. Let the Lance Drury Law Firm get between you and the IRS today, and we'll help you manage your case to achieve the best outcome. IRS problems are serious legal matters, so call Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Don't wait. Call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, and schedule your free consultation with me, Lance Drury, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as Secretary of Defense? That is the question that we are asking you today as we watch the confirmation hearing happening live. So let us know what you think is going on. It's, you can minute by minute this thing. You can wait till the end. You can do it now. Just let us know before 3 o'clock. 12:42. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Guns and hoses usually means boxing, but January 18th, it's all about soccer. After the St. Louis Ambush faced the Empire Strikers at the Family Arena, first responders take the field. One ticket covers both games. Get yours now at 971talk.com/events.
Yo, tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
If you want my future, forget my past. If you wanna get with me,
Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
now don't go wasting my precious time. Get your act together, we could be just fine. I'll tell you what I want, what I
Do you know the
really,
words of the song, Ryan?
Yeah, I know them. They're
you know all of
about
them?
tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I want a
What I really want to is a...
really want a zig a zig ah.
You're in the car. You're by yourself. Drop the kid off at soccer practice. The song comes on the radio because you're a huge KZK fan. You singing it?
No, I'm not singing it, but I'll probably turn it up.
Are you doing the dances and stuff?
No, I don't know any of the dances. I was a big fan of the Spice Girls before this song. Once this song hit,
I thought you were going to say before they were big.
yeah. This was their big
This was the
breakthrough,
song.
and I was like, oh, now
This is
they're
too
big.
mainstream for me.
For those that don't know, the listeners out there, I'm the one that puts in the
Mhm.
music, and
It's a treat.
I love it, but I really try to find music that really shows who Ryan Wiggins is.
Well, you do a great job.
I appreciate that, and I thought that there was no better song today, looking through the list, than "Wanna Be" by the Spice Girls.
Wiggins!
Wiggins!
Moving on.
One of the fun things when you were in high school, college, was to rank the Spice Girls by which ones you thought were the hottest.
I thought it was which ones were the smartest.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I don't remember.
You don't remember how you ranked them?
Who was your spice? What kind of spice you
I
use?
think I liked the ginger one. I think I liked her. I never really liked Posh because she was
intimidating.
She was intimidating, and she was. I thought they built her up a little bit too much. I didn't like the voice of the sporty one. There's a lot there.
Ginger,
so I went
huh?
with Ginger. She just seemed like she was there because she was hot, so I chose her.
Do I ask follow-up questions, or do we get to Wiggins America? I don't know what to do here.
This is talking about your relationship with money in 2025. So great lead in, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Nailed
the segue.
This is to help you figure out how to handle some of those spending resolutions that you may have made or subconsciously made, things like that.
Have you made any mental commitments maybe that might coincide with the first of the year, but just money-wise, financially? Or maybe you set goals?
Not financially so much as just, I would say health-wise, I'm trying to just be a little more conscious of, doing the things that I know I need to be doing.
Yeah.
It's not really a huge change. It's more just being deliberate about it. But
Not financially?
financially, my resolution is to spend more. So this is more for everybody else because this is how to spend less.
Is there anything specific you're wanting to spend more on?
No.
Shirts for Ethan?
No. No, I don't want to spend. Well, here's what I don't want to spend on is other people.
So what I'm hearing
Your
is there's.
parents.
Well, my thought was
Do you keep
originally
any of your money?
it was going to be Lil Debbie, but then you said you wanted to eat more conservatively. So I don't really know what you're going to spend more on.
I mean, just spending more money on everything that would be indulgent for myself.
Got
Not
it.
candy though, like
Not candy.
Steaks.
Healthier
Nice
food costs
That you
more.
could put some Andrea steak sauce on.
possibly a
Okay.
nice quart of asparagus. That's what they call those,
Is that what
right?
they call
A
'em?
cord of asparagus.
Okay.
Because they're wrapped up. Anyway, but if you're trying to save money, know your why. That's the number one on the list
I thought you were
here.
going to say know your wife.
No.
If you're trying to save money.
Figure out who your wife is.
And then throw
And
that
then
out the
try to
window.
make sure that she doesn't have access to the accounts. When setting your financial
A
resolutions
sexist would say.
for 2025, it's important. No, but we're being bold with our comments today, aren't we, with Capitol Hill and
Well,
everything?
you sure are.
It's important to establish the why of each thing that you're changing. So this is kind of applies to all of them. If you can attach the financial goal to a bigger life goal, it's much more motivating and more likely you'll continue on that path. Do you have any big changes you're trying to make this year?
I'd like to build a house.
That's a big financial goal.
Yeah. I got a mortgage rate in the 2s, and it's really an anchor.
Wow. That's really good.
Well, in the house I live right now, not the house I want to build.
Oh, I was going to say, I
Yeah,
would
I
go
have a
with
credit
that.
score of 2,000. No, I would really like to build a house, and the question right now is obviously when you build a house, if it's your lifetime house, I need to find the right builder first and foremost. And I've talked to some builders, and they're great, and we're just considering all of our options. But the question is, obviously, if you want to build the house that you want to live in for the rest of your life, I'm a family of 6. My son is 15. I would like him to live with me forever, but I also want grandkids, so I'm going to have to reconcile that soon. My husband and I are trying to figure out how to build a house that accommodates 6 people, but also retirees that may want to travel or be snowbirds or something like that, and then you're not paying to heat and cool this big house that you're not living in or whatever. So it's very difficult, and money is at the epicenter of what we can afford to do, obviously.
You want to make sure you have a house that can bring in outsiders, like people that want to stay with you for a little bit. Is what you're saying?
Well, I mean,
Like
no,
the
I have I have got 4 kids, but I'm not gonna. In 20 years, I'm not gonna have 4 kids living with me. But I do want to be able to accommodate them when they come back. But I don't want to build a house right now that is so massively laid out for a family of 6 with small children. I want it to. We really want to build the smallest possible house we can get away with that is exactly every inch what we want.
Can I make one suggestion for your house?
All the suggestions.
Put a slide in it.
Inside?
Yeah.
And what's the mindset behind this, Ryan Wiggins?
It's awesome.
Ryan thinks he's going to get an invitation.
It would be so fun to have a slide in your house. Am I wrong?
Now, do you want a full tube slide, like where you are enclosed inside the slide when you go down, or just an open slide?
I like to leave it up to the builder. Just kind of up to the imagination of the owner.
Do you do this
and
in your
builder.
rentals?
I haven't done it in my rentals. No, it doesn't pay well. Plus, there's liability.
I think you could up the rent a little bit if it was a theme park inside.
That's very true. No, I haven't done that yet. Do you guys have any big financial goals this year?
Nah.
Or
no.
just, reforming the way you think about anything?
No, my wife handles most of the finances in our family.
That's Brad's answer for all.
It really is.
It's not a bad move either.
But she does a great job. And
Brad really takes to heart that know your wife thing. He's like, yes, I do.
Know your wife.
Yep. I think it's Dave Ramsey says in every relationship there's the free thinker and the nerd when it comes to finances. I end up being the free thinker and she's the nerd. And it's like, yeah, it's probably best that I don't talk about how to spend money. So my goal is to keep my hands off of it. Know what's going on, but just keep my hands out of it and let her set it up and structure it.
Have you established this yet in your young marriage?
So we finally got around to budgeting for the first time and kind of getting an idea of...
It's empowering.
It is, and it's just good awareness, too. So we finally got around to doing that for the first time and kind of setting some ideas and some goals for, like, what we want to be spending, how, we're at the point right now where we still want to be really conservative with our money. We want to try to build some a little bit of structure into our savings accounts. So more so, I think this year is kind of just laying out the groundwork, like to eventually get to the point of where do we want to be putting our money to where it's, we can have it be working for us simultaneously. So I think we're still pretty early on in that and just trying to figure out what that groundwork will look like, getting into the finding a financial planner, working on some of those different things. So pretty early on in that. I wouldn't say there's like huge goals outside of just kind of laying the groundwork.
Brad, you mentioned Dave Ramsey. He isn't directly quoted in this article, but the next one is pay down outstanding debt.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you listened to this station long enough that you're here late enough to hear Del Walmsley, but Del Walmsley just...
Are you being paid?
I can't say.
Yes, you have to, legally.
Okay, then legally I'm not.
Okay, but you're open to it.
I'm fine with it if he wants to. He just rags on Dave Ramsey like crazy. Because Dave Ramsey, and this isn't I'm not somebody who listens to Dave Ramsey all the time, so somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but he doesn't delineate between good and bad debt.
Well, Dave Ramsey and Del Walmsley aren't talking to the same person.
They are not. No, they're not at all. Because Del Walmsley's talking to investors, basically, and real estate investors specifically.
Dave Ramsey is talking to people who are drowning in their debt.
Yes, and don't know how to manage it. And so he is saying, pay down as much debt as you can because you are then a slave to the lender, which is a good, even biblical principle that he's basing that on. That's what this is saying here, is that start by taking stock of how much debt you have now relative to the beginning of the year, and hopefully you've made steady progress on paying it down. I'm not saying that's a bad principle.
I hate debt. And taking out loans to do things it's not bad to take out loans. If you don't do anything because you don't want to take out a loan for it, that's not smart either. Like when it comes to your credit score, one of the big parts is like how many lines of credit do you have access to? What is the total credit that you have access to? There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And I only ever want to pay for things up front so that I don't have to finance things. But at the same time, like if you can get something for 0%, it's smarter if you're paying the same over the course of time. It's smarter to do it that way, assuming you can meet the obligation. If it's not costing you more money, it gives you more power over your money. So I'm always, money is difficult.
And over the course of your life, like you, Ethan, coming into, I don't know how much you're doing jointly or separately or whatever. We do everything jointly in my family.
100% jointly.
Same. And I applaud that. You just go through so many phases financially. Like I'm always thinking like, oh, when I'm this age, I will finally have made it. And then that age gets there and you're making an amount of money that you couldn't have imagined 15, 20 years ago. But then you got 4 kids and a mortgage and you're paying all of these things. And it's kind of crazy how you go through these phases. So I'm always thinking about how to do money better.
It's funny because you asked, is there any financial goal this year? And I said, no, it's more about health. But actually, once you start talking, it really is more about holistic. It's about financial too, because it's about figuring out, okay, I'm 43. How much time do I have to do X activities? Mm-hmm. And then how much beyond that will I be able to do these activities? And so budgeting to get a lot of things done in this next decade that I'm like, I don't know if I'm in my mid-50s if I'm going to want to go, skiing a lot anymore. Maybe I will. I don't know.
I can think of times where my husband and I have needed to buy a car, or maybe we're looking to move and buy a house. And depending on when it was, because we moved into the house we live in right now in 2015. And I remember my dad being like, you should wait and see who the next president is for both of those things. Because he's like, when things are costing a lot, you buy a car when things are costing a lot. When gas, we had a Dodge Dakota V8 in 2007 and 2008 and a little bit past that. And I remember paying over $4 a gallon for that gas. Yeah. And I mean, like Brad's talked about this with his truck before, like you couldn't fill it because the gas station would be like, you spent too much money here, go away, which is wild.
You've reached your credit limit.
But when you're financially looking to invest in things, building a house, like one of the things for my husband and I was building a house under Kamala Harris's green energy initiatives that she's going to impose upon everybody is a lot different than what it might look like to build a house and Donald Trump's the president. Mm-hmm. So you kind of like hold back, but then you don't want to hold back forever. It's just, there's a lot.
Yeah.
What are the other pieces of advice that you have?
The last one I want to get to, there's quite a few, but the one that I thought that's really good advice is automate your savings. If you're putting into a 401k or even just a regular savings, have it just go automatically. You don't even think about it. Yeah. And it grows exponentially.
And when you increase that 401k every year, 1% or whatever, you don't miss it. If you end up getting, if you're one of the people who's fortunate to get a 3% raise every year, which I don't know how many people are actually getting that these days, but if you get a 3% raise every year and you're making your ends meet and you can put 1.5% of that in your 401k and 1.5% of that raise into just a savings account where you have access to, I'm constantly setting up my financial situation to beat myself at my weaknesses, like separating my money in different accounts in different places. So like if I want to access that money, I have to physically go there and get it. I can't get on my app and be like, I'll just move a few hundred here or a few hundred there or whatever. Like, nope, I have to make a plan in order to get the money before closing hours and everything, just to make sure that, because if it's too easy, if it's too easy to access, then it becomes too easy to fail.
All of our relationship with money in the last 2-3 years has changed. Mm-hmm. It just has. And so going into 2025, I'm interested to see by the end of this year how much differently we'll be thinking about money. Will it be different? I hope it is, because right now your relationship with money is, if you're anything like the average American, you're just going, let me just get through this so that I can do some of these smarter things. But hopefully by the end of this year, we have the opportunity to start doing that.
All right, let's take a quick break. Pete Hegseth has wrapped those confirmation hearings in front of the Senate, and Jim Carafano is going to be on with us when we return, and he's going to react to that hearing. How does Jim Carafano, a military career guy, feel about the potential new Secretary of Defense? That's next on the Annie Fry Show.
I do appreciate all the referrals that we receive daily. It is phenomenal. I've said it. I can't say it enough how much I do appreciate the referrals. With that being said, if you do refer me, you're in great hands. I will not sell homeowners that work hard for their money, just like myself, crap that they do not need. But if you want good quality, man, you can't even say cheap anymore. I don't think I can even say cheap by the... You can't even go by price. Oh, okay, that's another commercial. Call me, Bart Inman, One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600. Remember, it's the only number, Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
The Retirement Advisory Group is having their next Protecting Your Retirement educational event, and I hope to see you there. Have you got Thursday, January 30th free on your calendar? If you do, pencil this in right now and call to reserve your spot, because this is a very, very simple thing that you can do. It costs you nothing. It does not take a lot of time. At 6 o'clock, I show up, Mark Cox shows up, Mark Rearden gets there as soon as he can from the studio, and we will spend 6 to 6:30 getting to know you, meeting you, shaking your hand. I would love the opportunity to say hi to you. And then at 6:30, the team from the Retirement Advisory Group takes over. So Bob and Tammy Kershaw, Thomas Helbig are going to guide you through those principles that they use to make sure that you have no worry in your retirement. When you're in that point where your retirement is right there, you might even have just retired, you have to make some smart moves to secure that position. Reach out to them and reserve your spot for Thursday, January 30th at the Frontenac Hilton. 314-993-9494. Online at retirementkey.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Defending himself and his nomination, I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. As confirmation hearings begin for Trump nominees. First up, his pick for defense chief, Pete Hegseth.
I know what I don't know. I know I've never run an organization of 3 million people with a budget of $850 billion. But what I do know is that I've led men and women. I've led people.
Also telling senators politics should not play a role at the Pentagon and that he would support women in combat roles while also ensuring standards aren't eroded. Indiana Republican Senator Jim Banks.
I believe it's incumbent upon this committee to confirm you ASAP, to get you on the job, to clean up the mess that we have at the Pentagon ongoing at this moment.
But Arizona Democratic Senator Mark Kelly says he's concerned about transparency.
Which is it? Have you overcome personal issues? Or are you the target of a smear campaign? It can't be both. It's clear to me that you're not being honest with us or the American people, because you know the truth would disqualify you from getting the job.
Hegseth has dismissed allegations of past misconduct, including sexual assault and excessive drinking. An update from the FBI on the New Year's terror attack, raising the number of injured in New Orleans to 57. 14 were killed by ISIS-inspired Shamsuddin Jabbar before he was killed in a shootout with responding officers. The FBI update also includes a new photo of him taken during a previous trip to New Orleans in November.
They say he became a more devout Muslim in 2022 before following extremist views in the spring of 2024. Investigators found that Jabbar's internet history showed he was looking into balcony access along Bourbon Street, as well as information on Mardi Gras and shootings that happened in the city as late as mid-November. Just hours before the New Year's Day attack, Jabbar had researched the Christmas market ramming attack in Germany 10 days prior.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. America is listening to Fox News.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
28 should do it for kind of a cold afternoon on this Tuesday, but we should start to see a little more in the way of sunshine as we work our way through the afternoon. Tonight, clear. It's cold overnight. Light winds, a temperature tumble 7. And then on Wednesday, sunny skies 29. Thursday, sunny, a little better in the afternoon. Not a lot, but better, 41 and 47 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
AirComfortService.com. Check them out online, and you can research whatever the HVAC problem that you're dealing with right now might be. But I want to talk to you about their heating system plan that you can sign up for. For only $19 a month, you can become a preferred partner with their preferred partner plan. When you sign up for just $19 a month, you're going to get routine HVAC system checks 2 each year. And here's the beautiful part of it. They're going to call you to remind you to schedule them. So it's not like you're paying for something and they're just happy to auto draft it and you don't get the services you're paying for. They're going to remind you, hey, it's time to get your system checked. And then you're going to be able to have them come out. That's a low price to be able to do that and make sure that they can head off any sort of costly repairs that might be down the road with unchecked equipment. You're going to get discounts on service calls, repairs, and new equipment. You're also going to get priority service when you do need to make that phone call when something seems not right. All for only $19 a month, and you get your 12th month free when you pay monthly. Call them at 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091, online at aircomfortservice.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
I can see clearly now thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and introducing Samuel Berry. You can too. Call 314-966-5000 or check out youridoc.com. That's youridoc.com.
We know you've got an interesting take on things. You can tell us by clicking the microphone button next to Listen Live when you're on the Odyssey app. Record a short message for us to hear when you tune into 97.1 on the Odyssey app.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Thank you for being here this afternoon. The YouTube live chat poll, Annie Fry YouTube channel, youtube.com/@AnnieFry. We are asking you today, will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as Secretary of Defense? Yes or no? Moving into his confirmation hearing that has wrapped on Capitol Hill for today, I believe, or at least for now. Moving into this, there was the thought that we were going to have the votes. The 53 Republicans, one way or the other, were going to come out with a majority, and Pete Hegseth would be confirmed. He has faced a lot of questioning and, a lot of flattery and also a lot of concern from Republican, Democrat on this hearing. And it's been really interesting to watch. And like I said earlier in the show, it has been so incredible to hear Pete Hegseth saying the things about the military once again that at first make you go, oh my gosh, are we saying these types of things out loud? Why, yes, we are. Pete Hegseth certainly is, as he works to be the Secretary of Defense. Let's get to our guest. Jim Carafano joins us once again. Perfect timing to be able to have you on the show. Senior Counselor to the President and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. Jim, welcome back. Always good to have you.
And you forgot official Pete Hegseth fanboy.
Okay, good. I want to open up the floor to you. Your reaction to his performance, per se, in front of that Senate committee hearing today.
Well, I mean, I do think we saw one of the greatest strengths that Pete would bring to the position, which is really the ability to speak for the administration with kind of clarity and purpose. And I think it's something that will serve him well, not just speaking internally to the military, which I think a lot of people will be admired and inspired by him. I actually think he'll be the best recruiting tool the Pentagon could ask for. But I think externally to allies and partners and to adversaries, he is somebody that will speak with a clear and compelling voice. So all the other things that, well, you may not have a lot of experience in working in the Hill and running in the Pentagon, you can hire people to do all those things. But I think being both an inspiring leader and a person who already enjoys both the confidence and trust and alignment of vision with President Trump, I think this is I think would be quite.
Did we lose him? I'm gonna put him on hold and see if is Ethan out there. He can check on it. Sounded like his connection might have just had a little trouble there. I want to play a clip while we work on making sure that we get Jim back on the show with us from the hearing today. This is really paramount to the positioning that Pete Hegseth has had going into this confirmation hearing about the standards of military personnel. Let's listen.
Our standards will be high and they will be equal, not equitable. That's a very different word. We need to make sure every warrior is fully qualified on their assigned weapon system, every pilot's fully qualified and current on the aircraft they are flying. And every general or flag officer is selected for leadership or promotion purely based on performance, readiness, and merit. Leaders at all levels will be held accountable, and warfighting and lethality and the readiness of the troops and their families will be our only focus.
Having standards be high and equal, not equitable, is a key point for Pete Hegseth throughout this hearing, and also in the way he's approached the military since he's been talking about it in his book that he has written before. Senator Gillibrand from New York and other Democrat senators certainly have taken great issue with the way that he's talked about women and their role in combat in our military service. And she got pretty worked up in the hearing today.
Everything you've said in these public statements is politics. I don't want women. I don't want moms. What's wrong with a mom, by the way? Once you have babies, you therefore are no longer able to be lethal. I mean, you're basically saying women, after they have children, can't ever serve in the military in a combat role. It's a silly thing to say. It's a silly thing to say, beneath the position that you are aspiring to. To denigrate LGBTQ service members is a mistake. If you are a sharpshooter, you're as lethal regardless of what your gender identity is, regardless of who you love. So please know this to be a true statement. So you say it was a political thing. You say it undermined us, social engineering. I don't know why someone having to publicly say or not publicly say who they love is social engineering.
So there you had Senator Gillibrand, female, obviously, from New York, talking about her disgust with the way we've seen Pete Hegseth comment about women in the military. I think it's interesting to pair that with Pete Hegseth's conversation with Senator Joni Ernst, and, somebody who has served in the military. We'll get to that exchange here in a minute, but we do have Jim Carafano back with us. Jim, welcome back. Sorry about that connection issue. It's good to have you back here.
That's right. And I was brilliant the whole time, too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, I mean, I don't know where we drop, but like I said, I think he's a great spokesman for peace through strength. He enjoys the trust and confidence of the president. If Republicans can't muster the votes for this guy, then there's something wrong with the Republican Party, period.
That's well said. Jim Carafano, speaking with us right now with the Heritage Foundation. What do you think about the way we saw a lot of this in the hearing? The Democrats are very, very concerned about Pete Hegseth's the standards that he would put in and that it wouldn't be so equity-faced. Where's the military standard right now, and how would Pete Hegseth change it in your mind?
Yeah, I think that alone is reason that every single Republican should vote for Pete. The notion that somehow it's about equity and fairness, and that's what the military. I got to tell you, in my 25 years of military experience, I never saw a situation where diversity or equity or inclusion could stop a bullet. And it's just the wrong. It is a political agenda. It's not an agenda about national security. And the notion that we would put the lives of young men and women in uniform at risk, or that the national interest of the United States at risk for a political agenda, which might be fine for, liberals in California that like to see their state burned to the ground, but that we would submit the nation's safety to that is nonsense. And the fact that Democrats are angry about that shows you everything that is absolutely 1,000% wrong with the Democratic Party.
What's your take on, I won't ask you to defend necessarily Pete Hegseth's comments and the accusations being made from some of these senators on this panel, but the role of women in combat, women in the military altogether. What is your thought on that very sensitive topic?
My answer has always been people that are qualified to serve should be able to serve in whatever capacity that they wanted to. I don't. We have a relatively small army. I'm against drafting women. Absolutely. I just think that makes no sense. That's a political agenda. But women should be able to serve in any role if they're qualified. The standard should not be compromised. And I think we have to be realistic about that. I mean, we basically found that there's in the military where women are qualified to serve, we have to make incredibly accommodations to make it happen, whether it's combat planes or serving on submarines. So I think all those questions are really answered. I think just the reality of the modern military. I think Pete's main point, and I think the main point of the whole thing is what should drive service is the capacity and capability to meet the needs of the nation and not a political agenda. And I think just the politics have to stop. And I think that's what Pete stands for.
I don't know if you can speak to specifics on it, but we're speaking with Jim Carafano right now. When you talk about if you can meet the standards, you should be able to participate. I don't know specifically how the standards work out in the military. Are there different standards for men and women to meet, or do they lower all the standards so that more women can qualify?
Well, they have different physical training standards, and there are situations where we've intentionally lowered the standards of the job so that women could qualify. That I think is wrong. Look, I think there should be different physical standards for men and women because we're biologically different. That's why we should have men and women's sports. That's different. I'm talking about the job qualification, for example, to serve on a special forces team or to be a combat pilot. That should be determined by the capacity and capability of the job.
You said earlier here that if these Republican senators can't vote for Pete Hegseth, then what can they vote for? Do you have any concerns about anything that happened today that might disqualify him from a Republican vote?
I don't. I don't. And I think at the end of the day, a senator really, a Republican, actually any senator, to be quite honest, look, if the Democrats cared about the future of their party, they would be looking for reasons to vote for Pete Hegseth, to show Americans that they actually care more about the country than the Democratic political agenda. So I think Democrats that voting against this, they're just reminding the American people of why their party is in the minority.
Jim, before we let you go, I want to play a quick clip from you yesterday. We got we're supposed to be final foreign policy speech from President Biden in Washington, D.C., and he said this to reporters.
Let's get something in mind about the border. When I became president, the numbers came way down, number one. Number two, we had a circumstance where I pushed very hard for a bipartisan agreement to put more people on the border, more Secret Service agents. And guess what? He's on the phone saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Make me look bad.
So you have Joe Biden there saying let's get something straight about the border. When I became president, the numbers came way down. I think the casual piano music in the background is a bit apropos. What do you think about President Biden's statement there? Do you think he believes what he's saying?
I think the only good news here is for the joke writers on Saturday Night Live, because they know that both they have the presidential speechwriters and the president himself who can produce enormously ridiculous material for them, and who will all need jobs after next week. So yeah, that's my thought.
Well, I appreciate that. Jim, I believe the next time we speak, we will have a new president and a new commander-in-chief, and we are looking forward to those conversations throughout 2025. I would assume that there's going to be a rapid change of pace. Are you looking forward to next week and everything that comes afterwards?
So if we have a chance, and I know I'm on travel next week, but I hope we get a chance to talk. We should have the conversation that we had 4 years ago, where we talked about what's going to happen under 4 years of Joe Biden. And we talked about massive illegal immigration, our enemies not respecting us, our undermining the instruments of national security, all of which turned out to be 1,000% correct. And then you and I talked about that for 4 years.
Yeah.
And the rest of the conversations we had for 4 years is, I told you so, and look how right we were.
Yeah.
We should have that conversation, because I think what we're going to predict in the next 4 years is very, very different. And I will be the most surprised guy on earth if what we predict is wrong.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go find that first interview that we had after the inauguration of Joe Biden. I'm going to listen to it again, and maybe we'll play some clips and listen to your prescient comments then and see what you have in store for us and in your predictions for the years to come.
Thanks.
Thank you.
The only thing that we can count on that's unchanged from the last president to this president, that the Annie Fry show is the best thing going. That doesn't change.
As long as you're here with us, Jim Carafano, we appreciate you. Thank you. Take care. We appreciate Jim. He's so kind and generous, and always good to have him. Thank you for sticking with us as we work through some of those phone issues. Jim Carafano, we will schedule. I'm going to do that because I'm sure he does that on all the radio hits that he makes throughout the course of a day. But he was so specific about how bad things were going to be. And I remember being like, Jim, you're killing me here. That sounds really, really terrifying. And he's like, that's the way it's going to be. And then, like clockwork, weeks go by. What he said was going to happen did. He said that immigration was going to be the leading issue of the 2024 election. And if it wasn't, it was tied for first. Jim was right. We're always glad to have him here. We're going to take a quick break. We've got two senators that we want to visit with in this Pete Hegseth confirmation process. One of yours and one of mine, or maybe one of ours. Do you want Tammy Duckworth first, or do you want Eric Schmidt first? Shot, chaser. Which one? I feel like we gotta hunker down and listen to Tammy Duckworth, and then cap it off with a little Eric Schmidt after that. Maybe we'll do that. We want to know what you think about the Pete Hegseth confirmation. Will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as Secretary of Defense? Yes or no? We need to know what you think on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. You can come there. You can leave a vote, yes or no, and you can also comment. Joe says Pete will ride in on the Trump wave. Officer Gary said, think we can start calling him Secretary of Defense Hegseth. And Dirk said, I chose yes. It just seemed like the right answer. What do you think? We'll be right back.
This is The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Third floor on the west side, me and you. Handsome, you're a mansion with a view. Do the girls back home touch you like I do? Long night, keep your hands up in my hair.
CiviaLaw.com. You need to reach out to them to get your affairs in order. We were talking in Wiggins America about getting financial things in order in 2025. You've been putting this off, and you know that you have to do it. It's itching at you, and when it comes up in your brain, you try to squash it down as fast as you can. Here's the beauty about calling Todd Civia at Civia Law. Once you make that initial strategy session appointment and you sit down and have a conversation with him, completed documents in 2 weeks. That means you get in, you get it done, you get out, and you're confident and you're comfortable and you're at peace with having everything in place. I'm talking about getting your will, your trust, your power of attorney established, making sure that you and your spouse or your significant other understand exactly what's going to happen should one of you pass away. Do you have children? Oh my goodness, you need to get this done because you need to make sure that your will, and by will I mean your desires, are going to be cared for and expedited, not going through that whole process of probate. Probate causes you a loss of money, it causes you a loss of time, and it certainly causes you a loss of privacy. Todd Sivia and Sivia Law, that's who I went to complete with my husband our trust. You need to call them, and I will remind you, they're in Missouri and Illinois, Edwardsville, Wentzville, East Alton, Swansea, Mount Vernon. Call them at 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL. You can find them online at sivialaw.com.
The 28th Winter Warm-Up is coming to Busch Stadium and Ballpark Village January 18th through the 20th. The event features 3 days full of non-stop Cardinals family-friendly fun, including tours of the Cardinals clubhouse, admission to the world-class Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum, plus access to the Cardinals Care Store, autographs, auctions, and an exhibit hall full of sports memorabilia and more. Tickets are on sale now. Proceeds benefit Cardinals Care and its mission to care for kids in the community. Find more details at cardinals.com/WWU.
Want to retire in 5 years or less? You can do it, just like Lifestyles Unlimited member Lisa.
So we started passively. It was on vacation is when we realized we really need to take the plunge and be more active in this. Just because I'm an educator, I wanted to really know what I was doing. So it was just education on my part is really big. And I'm like, well, I could do that.
Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297, a 60% savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
And a lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, I'm usually much more active, but since I've been in pain, I've had to limit the activities I'm doing.
You're listening to Janelle, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
So he came in and he wanted to be able to keep up, play sports with his kids. And from there, we figure out which arch supports complement those activities. I fit him with the arch supports, and as I followed up with him, he's messaged me and said, I took my kids to the park today. We're walking, we're exercising, riding the bikes, and those are all things that he wasn't doing before because he was in pain.
For over 25 years, the Good Feet store's arch support specialists have been helping folks to live the life they love without foot, knee, hip, or back pain getting in the way.
Our goal is to have that long-term change for them. That's what's most important, is knowing that you leave an impact on someone's life. And I like that.
Try them for yourself. Stop in for a free personalized fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you have a furnace that needs service, a heat pump that needs repairs, or a boiler that needs to be replaced, contact Air Comfort Service. They offer 24/7 emergency heating service too. aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Rearden Show.
Tuesday afternoon, the very latest on the LA fires as the winds continue to kick up. Plus, confirmation hearings begin on Capitol Hill.
The Mark Rearden Show. Weekdays from 3 to 6. Right here on 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Whether you are qualified to be Secretary of Defense, and one of the qualifications, to answer my colleague's question, is to actually win the votes of every member of this committee and to be confirmed by the United States Senate. And you need to convince us that you're worthy of that vote, because the people of the state of Illinois voted for me to be their senator so that I could cast that vote when it comes to picking who is going to be the next Secretary of Defense.
Oh, Senator Duckworth, my senator. Before you move on, I will remind you that we've got 3 Illinoisans in here, and I haven't polled the audience in the room, but I am in Illinois. I did not vote for you, and I did vote for Donald Trump, and Pete Hegseth is Donald Trump's nominee. So before you take your faux outrage, she gets super emotionally charged in her questioning of Pete Hegseth here. Please don't appropriate the anger of the Illinoisans who you represent as a whole as some sort of indication that this line of questioning is on behalf of all Illinoisans. Because in the same vein that you can say that, you got to think about the people who in Illinois did shift towards Donald Trump more than they have before. I mean, in Illinois, of all places, blue, Illinois, there's still a shift away from the nonsense of the Democrats who are driving that state into the ground. And when she said that at the beginning, about how Pete Hegseth's responsibility is to earn her vote for confirmation, I don't even really think that that's how it works. Pete Hegseth is a nominee of Donald Trump, and it's his responsibility, Pete Hegseth's responsibility, to go answer questions with truth and honesty and integrity as they are asked to him, as he would utilize his own personal experience and job description for the position of Secretary of Defense. He's supposed to answer accordingly, and then they are to choose whether or not to vote for it. It is not Pete Hegseth's job to bend over backwards to make sure that Tammy freaking Duckworth is okay with him. I don't think that's even possible.
That was what I was going to say. It's not even, there's no way for that to happen.
And I will once again say that Lloyd Austin got all but 2 votes for confirmation. Joe Biden's nominee got all but 2 votes. One was Mike Lee, and I think the other was Josh Hawley, who voted no against Lloyd Austin. So it's not like Republicans didn't come over and vote for the current guy, who's not really done the best of jobs, because look at the world. So when Tammy Duckworth, yes, she's there on behalf of representing the people of Illinois, but that means she's supposed to listen to us. That means she is there as our voice. You don't get to appropriate our voices when you're yelling at these nominees who are put there because of the people who we voted for as well. Let's listen to more of what she had to say here, because she continued to go in.
This hearing now seems to be a hearing about whether or not women are qualified to serve in combat, and not about whether or not you are qualified to be Secretary of Defense. And let me just say that the American people need a SecDef who's ready to lead on day one. You are not that person. Our adversaries watch closely during times of transition, and any sense that the Department of Defense that keeps us safe is being steered by someone who's wholly unprepared for the job puts America at risk, and I am not willing to do that. With that in mind, Mr. Hegseth, I want you to try to explain to the American people, this committee, who have to vote for you, and to our troops who are deployed around the world, why you are qualified to lead the Department of Defense. We already know that you've only led the largest, a 200-person organization. We already know that you so badly mangled a budget that after you left, they had to bring in a forensic accountant to figure out what went wrong. And that the largest budget you ever managed was about $18 billion. You know, that is about 51,560 times lower than the Department of Defense budget of $825 billion. $16 million is 51,568 times smaller than the defense budget.
Okay. Like, he's not going in to be the Secretary of Defense to be solely responsible for the budgeting process. Is it possible he would have people around him who would help him with that?
I also really like when a Democrat member of Congress is lecturing somebody on
fiscal
budgetary
responsibility.
Concerns.
Well, didn't the Pentagon fail like the last 7 audits of their budget?
He might be super qualified.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
That has been a sort of like 3rd-page story, that all their audits just come back as, where the hell is the money? What are you doing with all this money? And so for her to say, look, this is an institution that's run really financially well. What do you think? You can just step right in and you're going to change things for the worse, clearly?
Here's her conclusion.
We ask our troops to go into harm's way all the time. We ask them to go into harm's way. And this behind me is a copy of the Soldier's Creed, a copy that usually hangs over my desk here in the Senate, and you should be familiar with it. It's the same copy that hung over my desk at Walter Reed every single day that I woke up and fought my way back because I wanted to go back and serve next to my buddies who saved my life. This same copy, these words are repeated over and over and over again. And let me read out two things to you, two sentences. I will always place the mission first, and I am disciplined, physically and mentally tough, trained and proficient in my warrior task. Mr. Hegseth, our troops follow these words every single day, and they man up and they pack their rucksacks and they go to war, and they deserve a leader who can lead them.
Did she just say man up?
Ooh.
I mean, she's a veteran, so
You're fired.
I just want to point out that a female veteran can say man up and we all get it.
Yeah, nobody even thinks about it.
I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
High five, Tammy. It's the best thing you've said so far.
Not a leader who wants to lower the standards for himself or raising the standards for other people. And by the way, our troops already meet the standards. We ask troops to man that ship, fight that fire, fly that helicopter until their very last breath. And they do that every single day. They cannot be led by someone who's not competent to do the job. How can we ask these warriors to train and perform the absolute highest standards when you are asking us to lower the standards to make you the Secretary of Defense simply because you are buddies with our president-elect? And by the way, he has filed for bankruptcy 6 times. I'm not quite sure he's the kind of CEO you want to refer to as a successful businessman.
Oh, she's big man.
Let me make it clear. You can't seem to grasp that there is no U.S. military as we know it without the incredible women that we serve. Women who've earned their place in their units. You have not earned your place as Secretary of Defense. You say you care about keeping our armed forces strong and that you like that our armed forces are meritocracy, then let's not lower the standards for you. You, sir, are a no-go at this station.
That's shocking.
And that's why I'm a yes.
I didn't get the Fox News alert that Tammy Duckworth was a no vote. Let me check my phone here. No. Michelle Obama to skip a Trump inauguration. What else we have here? Some basketball updates for my son's basketball team. Thomas Helbig, something. Nope. How could they not be on that breaking news that Tammy Duckworth of the state of Illinois is not voting for Pete Hegseth?
Wouldn't that be something, though?
That's
like the end of the comedy sketch where somebody gives a terrible presentation in front of the board, and the board stands up and goes,
slow clap.
That was the worst presentation I've ever, like twist, 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 twist.
I can't with it. And Tammy Duckworth, this is all performative for the Republicans, for the Democrats alike. These, it's not all performative. I shouldn't say that. It is necessary. It is important. The confirmation hearing process is important. I am glad they're not doing the vacancy appointment. What was it called? Recess appointments. I'm glad they're not doing that. I'm glad this is all being put out there because at the end of the day, Pete Hegseth is still going to be confirmed as the Secretary of Defense. At least I'm a yes vote in the YouTube live chat poll today. I wonder what you are. You go to the Andy Fry YouTube channel. That's our question. Despite this shocking development that Tammy Duckworth of the state of Illinois is likely a no vote for Pete Hegseth, do you feel confident that he might still be able to be confirmed? Let's dip into Eric Schmidt. Shot chaser Eric Schmidt on this Senate committee, which is wonderful, my adopted senator. He was able to ask some questions, too. Are you ready to play that? Okay, let's listen to, because I haven't heard any of this yet, so we're going to react to this live along with you.
His letter states that the suggestion, quote, the suggestion that funds were misused for personal gain, lavish parties, or other improper purposes is categorically false. Throughout my time working with Pete Hegseth, he consistently demonstrated exceptional integrity and leadership. I asked unanimous consent to enter this letter into the record.
Without objection, so ordered. Senator Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hegseth, good to see you here today. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Senator.
And your willingness to serve. I also want to thank you for your clarity in articulating the vision you have for the Department of Defense in restoring an ethos, a warrior ethos, which is in stark contrast to the ethos we've seen the last 4 years, which is of weakness and wokeness. And I want to drill down on a few things specifically and exactly how we've gotten to where we've gotten with recruiting and morale. DEI. There's been a little bit of discussion about this, but for those watching at home, DEI is not about giving everybody opportunity. It is rooted in cultural Marxism. The idea that you pit the room, any room, with oppressor versus oppressed. It's race essentialism, and it is poison. It has no business whatsoever in our military. I think the American people have spoken loudly and clearly about this. They're tired of this. They're tired of woke ideology. And to my Democrat colleagues on the other side, if you haven't picked up on that, you missed the plot. Because that's what November 5th partially was about. And so let's talk specifically about some of these DEI programs that have been funded. In our academies, specifically the Air Force Academy, it was advised as disfavored language to refer to your mom and dad as mom and dad. Okay? Dear mom and dad, I'm writing home. Don't say that. That's insane. We're all just people. You can't say that either. And in an effort to police this, in a 1984 Orwellian novel, there was actually an eyes and ears program to rat on your fellow students who might say mom and dad. Or just say, in a tough situation, you know what, we're all just people, can't say that. This wasn't limited, by the way, to our academies. The Secretary of the Air Force, our current Secretary of the Air Force, in a memo from August of 2022, thought we had too many white officers, advocated for quotas. And if you crunch the numbers, that meant that 5,800 white officers who've worked really hard should be fired. In the United States of America, I don't know how we got here. And by the way, the Air Force isn't alone here. The Navy sort of touted a drag queen influencer. This stuff is insane. And people wonder why recruiting has dropped off. And let me just go through a few numbers, then I want to get your comments on how we fix this, because it's gone completely off the rails. In 2022, the Army missed their recruiting goal of 60,000 soldiers by over 15,000. In 2023, the Navy missed their recruiting goals by over 7,000. In 2022, the Air Force couldn't meet their standards, their numbers, even though they lowered their standards. They've lowered their standards to meet numbers they still can't get to. Mr. Hegseth, we got to fix this. I think what you've demonstrated today is that you have the talent and the ability and the desire to fix it. How are you going to fix it?
Well, Senator, thank you for the question. First and foremost, up front, you have to tear out DEI and CRT initiatives root and branch out of institutions.
100%.
And then you have to put in Army, Navy, and Air Force secretaries and others, civilian positions at the helm, who are committed to the same priorities that the President of the United States is, and if confirmed, the Secretary of Defense will be. Send a clear message that this is not a time for equity. Equity is a very different word than equality. Equality is the bedrock of our military. Men and women, duty positions in uniform, black, white, doesn't matter. We treat you equally based on who you are in the image of God as an individual. And we all get the same bad haircuts. You're not an individual, you're part of a group. Equity prescribes some sort of an outcome based on differing attributes that we have that divide us. What skin color are you? What gender are you? And then infuse that into institutions which manifest in things like quotas, formal or informal, which does what to morale? Sends it in the tubes. And it makes people feel like they're being judged by something other than how good they are at their job, which is poisonous inside institutions.
So on top of this recruiting crisis, that wasn't enough for this administration. During the COVID hysteria and in their attempt to fire 100,000 people who worked for bigger companies because they didn't get the COVID shot, or to mask 5-year-olds. They decided also to make this a central plank in their policy at the Pentagon. 8,000 well-trained, so we got a recruiting crisis. 8,000 well-trained men and women were fired. Will you commit today, Mr. Hegseth, to recruit these folks back, to give them back pay, and give them an apology from the United States government for how they were disrespected?
Senator, I will commit to this because the Commander-in-Chief has committed to this, that not only will they be reinstated, they will receive an apology, back pay, and rank that they lost because they were forced out due to an experimental vaccine.
Thank you, and I'm a limited time, but I just want to say, for all the talk of experience and not coming from the same cocktail parties that permanent Washington is used to, you are a breath of fresh air. And again, if you weren't paying attention to what this election was all about, it was about the disruptors versus the establishment. And the American people have had enough of business as usual for the same people that we line up for these same jobs who give us the same results. We need somebody who's going to go in there and fight for innovation, fight for change. I think you're that person, and I appreciate your willingness to sit here and listen to some of these undignified attacks. It's ridiculous. Thank you.
Captain Mark Kelly.
Well, there you have Pete Hegseth sitting there along the lines with Eric Schmidt. And I, for one, like Eric Schmidt's reaction there.
He just summed up the entire reason.
Everything.
That they're there today doing this with Pete Hegseth. That's it.
Yeah.
Right there.
Pete Hegseth was one of the original nominees that I was like, really? It comes through and you're thinking, cabinet members, when you're thinking about people being appointed to these positions, you're thinking these are going to be people that we don't really know because they're busy doing things in places that aren't in front of our eyeballs. They're in more important places. You're like, Pete Hegseth, I'm familiar with that guy.
So I'm listening to that the whole time going, man, he's summing it up. He's going right in on not just the how are you going to do this, how are you going to do that, the reason why Pete Hegseth was nominated to that position. All the controversy and all of the upside and the downside, this is why. Yes, it's different. But that's what he said right at the end. I was going to say, oh, this is the disruptors versus the establishment. And then Eric Schmidt goes, this is the disruptors versus the establishment.
Well, you gave him that line.
Well, I mean, it's something we say here in Missouri a lot.
When we come over here to work.
Yeah.
We've been listening to the stories surrounding the confirmation of Pete Hegseth. We talked to Joe Concha at 12:25 about it, Jim Carafano at 1:05 about it. Those will be on our podcast. Go to AnnieFryShow.com/podcast to hear all of that. But I also encourage you to check out the Odyssey app where you can get everything Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk, audio-wise. You can connect there, and it's a great way to stream the station as well. Quick break. When we come back, we'll get to the guys' thoughts here. I've already said I think, yes, absolutely, Pete Hegseth will be confirmed as Secretary of Defense. That's the YouTube live chat poll. Got to get your vote in right now. Maybe they'll look after Eric Schmidt's taking Ryan Wiggins' lines. Maybe they'll check the Annie Fry Show poll and Tammy Duckworth might change her mind. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
RulerFoods.com. Saving starts when you get your cart at Ruler Foods. And I want you to make sure that navigating your way through Ruler Foods grocery store, if you've never been before, is simple. It's set up in a very intuitive way, just like a lot of grocery stores are. And when you walk in, you're going to meet all of that fresh produce that is delicious. We love getting our avocados from Ruler Foods and great things to make delicious guacamole. Right now, you can save on mandarins, 5-pound bag of mandarins, 8-pound bag of navel oranges, $4.99 each, 3-pound bag of Gala, Pink Lady, or Granny Smith apples, $2.99 each. Kroger 73% lean ground beef sold in a 3-pound roll, $3.33 a pound. When you go to rulerfoods.com, you are going to be able to pull up whatever the current ad is that gives you the extra savings that week on the things that you might be putting in your grocery cart. Whether you're looking for that fresh, healthy produce, fresh meats, they have a huge meat selection you can choose from, all of the frozen foods and everything that's there in the middle. When you shop at Ruler Foods, you're going to save money. And that's what's important for my family and why we have made the time to go to Ruler Foods. And I hope you'll give them the opportunity to earn your business as well. Visit rulerfoods.com.
Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com wants to remind you that if you pay for your own health insurance, open enrollment ends January 15th. If you are looking for coverage, do not go online looking for quotes. You'll get endless calls from call centers, and they will not stop. Instead, call Greg, an expert with over 40 years' experience, and he can provide sound advice for your health insurance needs. Their plans, if you qualify, let you pick your doctors, and it's 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. The monthly premiums are independent of your income, so there will be no surprise tax bills. If you pay for your own health insurance, own a small business, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. They will custom design a plan managed by you, not the government.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Wow, for a confirmation hearing day, this has been a lot. Will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as Secretary of Defense? We've been watching it, listening to it. We want to know what you think of it. It's the today's YouTube live chat poll. You find it by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube and vote yes or no there. 149. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
We're shining a spotlight on the incredible first responders who keep our community safe every day. Each month, Mark Cox and Grillmaster Tony Stone will personally deliver a delicious lunch to a deserving department. Visit 971talk.com/contests. This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Man, Beyonce is good.
Does Beyonce have a song that starts like that?
Heck yeah, she does.
What is it?
Bootylicious.
Bootylicious starts like that?
Yeah, pull it up.
I didn't know that. You said, ooh, which one is it? And I'm like, well, it's got to be Edge of 17.
Brett, get it.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Bootylicious.
All right, Bootylicious.
Well, you don't need to do it. Can you play it over there? I guess you can.
I could.
You could.
Oh, there it is.
I'm surprised that you're not familiar.
I'm not.
Stevie Nicks is in the Bootylicious video.
Really? How did I not know this? Now, because if Stevie Nicks is in it, I should have known that. I'm not a Beyonce fan, but
I think it might have been Destiny's Child.
It is. Yeah, and I know the song.
Do we have it?
Yeah. Yep. Let's see if this works.
My body's too bootylicious for you, babe.
Body's too See?
What?
Heck yeah. With a little in it, you know?
Yeah, a little wiki.
different.
It is a little different.
Stevie Nicks is in the video at some point, if not at the beginning.
Does she just walk through in the background, or is she like a part of it?
It's intentional.
It's intentional?
Yeah.
Okay. She wasn't just there.
That's a great song. Both of them. I like both of them. I wanted to touch on this article that spawned out of our show. Something happened yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Something happened yesterday, and our show created an article for Andy McCarthy on the National Review.
It's cool.
I'm an idiot, and I said that I was going to ask, was it
Can you
Brad's?
clip that, please?
Shush. I knew. I was waiting. I even gave you a minute, and then you decided to interrupt me and ask me. I'm an idiot. Yesterday when we opened the phone lines at 12:25, we had a caller ask us if Donald Trump's convicted felon status would preclude him from being able to travel to other countries. And I was like, well, we've got Andy McCarthy on at 1:25. I'll ask him. Then I forgot.
Yeah, it's funny.
Thank you. It's my job here to entertain you, so
I have
it
a
was
good time.
really intentionally for you.
Yeah.
Because I care.
Plus, I get paid to be entertained.
Someone said that they
great.
thought you were independently wealthy and you were doing this for a hobby.
I'll get there.
That's the goal. It's a 2025 goal.
Yeah. That's my New Year's resolution.
That's why you're in radio.
Yeah.
Obviously. So I realized, Ryan came in, he's like, did you ask Andy McCarthy about the traveling felon thing? I was like, gosh, no. So I contacted Andy McCarthy and I asked him that question. And his response to me, I'm going to pull up this little discussion that we had yesterday. He said, Annie, that's a great question. We've been thinking about voting rights and gun possession rights, but I hadn't thought about international travel. Let me look into that. I'll get back to you. That was at 5 o'clock yesterday. At 7:07 p.m., he says, you can take credit for making me look into this. And he sent me the National Review article that he wrote after having researched this very issue. And I can't take credit for that. Was it Brad or Brandon?
Brandon.
Oh, yeah, probably somebody.
Do you even listen to the show?
No.
I think it was Brandon. It was Brandon. Yeah.
I was just hoping Andy McCarthy would be like, did your co-host bring that up? And you'd be like, yeah, he did after the fact.
Yeah, I'm
but-
sure that's exactly how that conversation went.
Well, let's read the article. and see.
Brandon asked that question. I told you that I would get an answer for you. I didn't do it on the air, but what I did get is in writing from Andy McCarthy on National Review via your question. So any sort of credit that would be coming my way from Andy McCarthy appropriately would be handed directly to the wise beyond their years callers of this show. So he wrote this article in National Review. I'm going to tweet it out here. Actually, I tweeted it out last night. So you can go to the Andy Fry YouTube channel, or no, Andy Fry X page. I will retweet it after this segment gets over here. But the headline is, as a convicted felon, Trump faces foreign travel restrictions. The third paragraph, he says, many significant countries, including the world's most significant country, the United States, do not permit the entry of non-citizens who have criminal records. As Forbes reports, the following countries, other than the United States, bar convicted felons: India, China, Japan, Iran, the United Kingdom, South Africa, Kenya, Argentina, Canada, Australia. He should just run across the border.
And then run back.
And then back and be like, see, how do you like it? Taiwan, Cuba, Israel, New Zealand, and is it Macau? I've never even heard that. Macau?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm going with Brad on this one.
Yes. This is Macau.
He said several other countries, the report adds, do not require, gosh, this keeps refreshing. Several other countries, the report adds, do not inquire into criminal records as a regular part of their admissions. He said even countries run by leftist regimes that would otherwise love to embarrass Trump need things from the United States. Hence, the incoming administration will undoubtedly secure waivers from any countries to which President Trump will want or need to travel. Indeed, the Forbes report notes that Canada gave President George W. Bush a waiver because his then quarter-century-old misdemeanor DUI conviction would have been a basis to exclude him.
Oh, interesting.
So
there's precedent.
They're going to get Trump on waivers.
It's off the IL.
I thought that was pretty cool. The Annie Fry Show just got a little bit of a notch in the movement of the story of Donald Trump as a convicted felon.
I am surprised that they actually have to do that much, that they have to go through the process of getting waivers.
It won't matter when he gets overturned on appeal.
Yeah, that's true. Wink.
And nod. I'm going to go and I'm going to repost that right now. There's another story that we're going to touch upon as soon as we get back. Have you heard the stuff around Michelle Obama?
Well, depending on
Which
the stuff.
No, not that stuff.
Which stuff?
No, the recent thoughts about Michelle Obama, where she is, where she isn't.
A little bit.
We're going to talk about that when we come back. There's a recent story posted today about Michelle Obama and the Trump inauguration. Is she going to be there sitting next to her husband? We'll talk about that when we come back and if it even matters. So you're going to keep it right here. The YouTube live chat poll for today: will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as Secretary of Defense? Yes or no? We want to know what you think. You can leave your comments too. We'll add them to the conversation. John, watching us on Rumble, said yes for Pete. Think he's going to get in there. All right. Let's give it back to Stevie Nicks here for a second. When we come back, we'll talk about that Michelle Obama stuff and a few more fun things in the 2 o'clock hour on the Annie Fry Show. Don't go away.
Well, it is 2025. Wishing everybody a better year than last year. Wishing everybody succeed on their resolutions. Really hope somebody succeeds on their resolution. Ignore that. I don't want to be a Bertie Downer. I thought I'd save all the Debbies out there. But anyway, it's still cold. You still need heat. If your system breaks, remember, look me up. You saved me on your phone. If you haven't saved me on the phone, save it under Bart. If you forget my name and number, here it is. Bart Inman, the number, it's one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The only number at Missouri and Illinois is 314-293-2600. That's 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless and Happy New Year.
If you needed one more reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler, get this. Diamonds Direct maintains involvement in the entire diamond process and handpicks the best just for you. You see, any jeweler can claim to be a direct importer or have so-called partnerships overseas, but Diamonds Direct has special access that others simply don't have. Nobody can get closer to the source than Diamonds Direct. Indeed, Diamonds Direct is recognized in the industry as a world diamond powerhouse with unrivaled buying power and decades of inside connections that go back to their roots as actual diamond cutters. Bottom line, Diamonds Direct is without question the jeweler here that can truly offer the absolute best value. We're true talking direct importer prices on hand-selected diamonds that come straight from the source. Make no mistake, Diamonds Direct refuses to be undersold on GIA-certified diamonds. And we challenge you, let us prove it. Diamonds Direct, your source for the ultimate diamond value. Proud to call the Lou home. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
He calls it the deployment of a lifetime. Lisa Brady, Fox News, if he's confirmed as defense secretary. But Democrats pounced on Trump nominee Pete Hegseth in today's confirmation hearing. Illinois Senator and fellow veteran Tammy Duckworth says Hegseth has never led anything larger than a platoon.
You're not qualified, Mr. Hegseth. You're not qualified. You talk about repairing our defense industrial complex. You're not qualified to that.
Hegseth says he would build a team around him and bring a warrior culture to the military, a group of veterans supporting him, packing the hearing room, as he also faced misconduct questions.
Hegseth addressing allegations against him, which includes sexual misconduct and excessive drinking.
A small handful of anonymous sources were allowed to drive a smear campaign, an agenda about me, because our left-wing media in America today, sadly, doesn't care about the truth.
Hegseth says his goals include returning the military to a lethal fighting force and addressing the military recruiting shortage.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz on Capitol Hill. Southern California remains on edge with near hurricane-force winds expected again in some areas.
The wind warnings remain in effect. The particularly dangerous situation, as the National Weather Service calls it, is in effect until noon tomorrow, so nobody is letting down their guard at this point.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Pacific Palisades. A week after wind-driven fires began, thousands of homes are destroyed, more than 20 people killed. At least 9 people are now charged with looting, including a group accused of stealing an Emmy Award from an evacuated home. The Biden administration is reportedly set to lift Cuba's designation as a state sponsor of terrorism. Officials telling the Associated Press an announcement is coming soon, though a quick reversal is considered likely under the incoming Trump administration. Near the end of his first term, President Trump reinstated the terror designation, which had been removed under President Obama. America is listening to Fox News.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
28 should do it for kind of a cold afternoon on this Tuesday, but we should start to see a little more in the way of sunshine as we work our way through the afternoon. Tonight, clear. It's cold overnight. Light winds, a temperature tumble 7. And then on Wednesday, sunny skies 29. Thursday, sunny, a little better in the afternoon. Not a lot, but better, 41 and 47 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
You're leaving for work, but the garage door won't open. Is it the opener? Is the spring broken? Now you're late and your car is trapped. Well, don't panic. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is here with same-day emergency service. They won't leave you stuck. The original Red Ribbon Garage Door Company, trusted in St. Louis since 1926. Call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
What does Del Walmsley, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, think you need to succeed in this market?
It's time to buy, and so you better get prepared, you better get educated, you better get your money right. You need to get involved because you're going to need the financing. You're going to need the vendors that we have available to us. You're just going to need the interaction with people. You need to immerse yourself into real estate.
Start your real estate immersion with a free workshop live online at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS. That's newnordicusa.com.
Guns and hoses usually means boxing, but January 18th, it's all about soccer. After the St. Louis Ambush faced the Empire Strikers at the Family Arena, first responders take the field. One ticket covers both games. Get yours now at 971talk.com/events.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio. I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
2:07 on a Tuesday afternoon here in a very chilly, cold St. Louis, Missouri. We appreciate you being here with us. We just got done listening to Senator Eric Schmidt. Just music to my ears to listen to him call it like it is, as he was one of the senators on the committee that was questioning Pete Hegseth earlier today. Another one of those senators was Senator Sheehy, and Ryan was kind of like giggling about this over here. And so we thought, well, he started reading us some of the quotes. We're like, well, we should just play that on.
Yeah, well, we haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, we haven't heard
just
it.
read it.
So, Brad, let's dip into Senator Sheehy's line of questioning here a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pete, I'm actually going to ask you questions because I want to hear your answer. How many genders are there? Tough one.
Senator, there are 2 genders.
I know that well. I'm a Sheehy, so I'm on board. What is the diameter of the rifle round fired out of an M4A1 rifle?
That's a 5.56.
How many push-ups can you do?
I did 5 sets of 47 this morning.
47?
5 sets?
47?
What do you think
of 47?
What do you think are the most important strategic bases in the Pacific?
In the Pacific, Guam is pretty strategically significant.
How many rounds of 5.56 can you fit into the magazine of an M4 rifle?
Depends on the magazine, but standard issue is 30, Senator.
And what size round does the M9 Beretta standard issue sidearm for the military fire?
A 9mm, Senator.
What kind of batteries do you put in your night vision goggle?
Duracell.
Good answer.
So right there, you're representing qualifications that show you understand what the warfighter deals with every single day on the battlefield. You understand what happens on the front line, where our troops will be. And what happens, unfortunately, in this country is decisions made in rooms like this, bad decisions, end up in dead 17, 18, 19-year-old Americans. And those Americans rarely come from middle-income families who sometimes the military is their only way out. And they join because maybe they want to go to college. Maybe they have no other choice. Maybe they love this country. But for whatever reason, they joined and they side on the dotted line. And when people like us screw up, they don't come home. And that's the one thing that I care about. As you remember when I shut the door, when you came with your entourage, Senator Coleman, I've known for a long time, and you and I sat together and asked you one question. You remember what that question was?
Are you going to have the backs of the warfighters?
Exactly. What is going to be your number one priority? And I don't care, frankly, what all these letters and articles say. I've been a part of a smear campaign too, I get it. I care that you're going to have one thing in mind when you sit in that chair in that 5-sided building, and you told me what that was. So with that, you have my support. I'm sorry you have to go through a process like this.
There's Senator Tim Sheehy of Montana. This guy is 39 years old. That senator, birth year, 1985.
Sheehy's the new one.
Yeah. Who was the guy from Montana?
He beat
Tester.
John Tester.
Dad, he beat him well. His education is the United States Naval Academy, so he is a service member. According to a quick Wikipedia, Sheehy is an American politician, businessman, aerial firefighter, and former Navy SEAL, who was a United States Senator for Montana. Sheehy founded Bridger Aerospace, an aerial firefighting and wildfire management company. Wow.
You know, Sheehy's making a really good point here, though, that needs to be made. And this isn't the qualification for the job, but this is an undercover boss moment where he's saying, look, all these CEOs and all these people who've run these things in the past, they have no idea what you do on a daily basis. You actually know what it's like to be in the trenches, to be, firing the actual weapons, not just pointing at
when you're around the bullets that you're putting in a gun, you need that gun because people are going to be firing back at you.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
different perspective. And when I see a lot of the Democrat senators and the pundits that we will hear, of course, on news media, talking about how non-traditional Pete Hegseth's nomination is, it's kind of like, yeah, that's the point.
One of our commenters a minute ago said, I'm glad to see that the pullout in Afghanistan had qualified leaders. Just list the things that we've done in the last 4 years and say, at least that was under qualified leadership, though.
Yeah. Do you sleep well at night when you just say that out loud, and you just like, I just don't. Yeah, I just don't. I wanted to talk about Michelle Obama because it's kind of started a little chatter at the Jimmy Carter funeral. Have everybody up there? Was everybody there but Michelle?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Both Bidens, Joe and Jill, Kamala and Doug. You had Hillary and Bill. Al Gore was there. I don't know.
Was Tipper Gore there?
I don't remember.
I don't. Nobody mentioned that she wasn't, so I think she was.
George and Laura were there. Of course, Donald Trump and Melania were there, and Barack Obama was there without Michelle. Fox News reports this afternoon that former First Lady Michelle Obama will not attend the inauguration of President-elect Trump on Monday, which will mark the second absence in 2 weeks from a gathering of former presidents and their spouses. Obama was not in attendance at former President Jimmy Carter's funeral last week. Former President Barack Obama is scheduled to attend the January 20th inauguration event, along with Presidents Bill Clinton and George W. Bush and their spouses. A statement from the office of Barack and Michelle Obama was shared with the Associated Press. Quote, former President Barack Obama is confirmed to attend the 60th inaugural ceremonies. Former First Lady Michelle Obama will not attend the upcoming inauguration.
Uh-oh.
It's unclear why she is skipping. Okay, let's talk this out just a little bit. What the first and foremost thing is we don't know because they're not telling us. They're also not giving what I would call a qualified explanation of her absence. There are not many things that happen to you in life as a former first family that are like, oh, I can't. My son's got a basketball game, which is generally my excuse, not excuse, but reason. I try to prioritize my kids. I don't want my kids to be second to work ever unless I can explain to my kids what it is and why I'm choosing to do work over participate in their lives. What's on your calendar that you're like, oh, shucks, that's the same day?
I'm not saying that Donald Trump destroyed their marriage. I am saying that a lot of Democrat talking points just so happen to be falling through the wayside right now.
The suggestion behind the Jimmy Carter absence, and Jack Posobiec is somebody who tweeted, and I think that Jack Posobiec is a purveyor of information with the intent of persuasion.
Fair.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who social media-wise will ask questions that they're not really looking for specific answers for. You just put it out there. Joe Concha was on with us at 12:25, and he gave the classic media ethics question, Ryan, why do you beat your wife? And you say, I don't beat my wife. And then the next follow-up is, well, can you prove it? And obviously at this point, we're watching you defend something that never, ever occurred. And everybody knows it doesn't occur, but here you are. The question is the relationship, the marriage of the Obamas in trouble? I hope it's not. I would not take any pleasure in watching that disseminate. And I will say, you can check the tapes. Specifically, after Donald Trump, I think, won the election, I was on air on weekends, but I've commended the Obamas from a family standpoint of having what appeared to be strong family unit in the face of everything that would tear that apart. I have heard horror stories of, the ones I'm thinking of specifically are prominent Republicans who have thrown themselves into the office that they serve, and their children have paid deep prices for it. Their marriages have paid deep prices for it. Infidelity is about as common as it gets in Washington, D.C. Families are ripped apart. Power and money is on the other end of pursuing the next step up in your career in Washington, D.C., and it just wreaks absolute havoc on the family. and to watch the Obamas appear to emulate a very strong family, a very loving marriage, 2 beautiful daughters, is the one thing that I felt when I saw the Obamas. That's the one thing I thought, I really like that part of them. I disagree with pretty much all of their politics. I'm trying to think of where I'm like, well, that was good. But I can set politics aside, and I'm for the family. I think that is the epicenter of getting this country back on track, is to amplify families, fathers, mothers, having children. It gives you purpose in a sense that gives you something to look forward to, especially if you're in a position of leadership. You're thinking about the future in a different, more complicated way when you're thinking about the generations to come. But with this absence, it will put fuel on a fire of the Obama's marriage being in jeopardy. And as soon as that starts happening, eventually you'll see, if everything is fine or if it's fine enough, you'll see a joint appearance of there will be a picture of them doing something together that's like, okay, well, I guess that's not the talking point for right now. But with all that set aside, we know that there are many accusations and jokes about Michelle Obama, who she is and all that stuff. Why, if I were she, I would not want to be there. I would not want to be around those people. I would not want anything to do with it. I don't really blame her.
I don't know. These seem like events that you would have a tough time skipping, though. I mean, that's the death
Not
of a
if you
former
don't love
president.
your country.
Well, if it's Jimmy Carter, he's a Democrat. He's like the...
Yeah, that's the Carter funeral different than the inauguration of your archenemy.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And so skipping these 2 events, it really does look like something bigger. Because if it were, hey, maybe they were having some marital trouble, like things happen. You kind of set them aside and say, well, then let's just, look, I know we're fighting. Let's just get through these couple things, and then we'll figure it out. But if you can't get through these couple things, it seems kind of big.
You think their marriage is in trouble?
It's starting to look like it. When you missed the one event, the Carter funeral, I said, well, there's a lot of things that it could be. But when you missed the second big event, where it's not just that you're not going to be there, it's that the conversation is going to be that you weren't there. And you know that ahead of time, and you're still not there.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. People were wondering where Kate Middleton was. And, the weird photoshopped pictures of her coming out. And it turns out she was battling an illness.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe she's sick.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
And specifically here in this nook of the media world, this tiny little corner that we occupy, I'm always cheering for the family. I'm always cheering for family units. I know that that's not the reality all the time. But it's definitely raising eyebrows. To your point, though, I can think of a million reasons why she would skip out the Trump inauguration. I can't really think of many good reasons to skip out on the Carter funeral, where there's no speaking involved. I mean, yes, the visuals are there, but I mean, just do what Karen Pence did and sit down and look the other way. You can't stand. But to Karen's credit, she still went.
She's there. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I'm saying, is that even if it's not that their marriage is falling apart, it seems like it would have to be something kind of big to miss this many and this variety of events altogether.
Andy says, how many times did you discuss Trump's marriage when Melania didn't show up somewhere with him? I mean, I don't even really know how that is a sequitur here, because Melania and Donald Trump have not ever joined forces politically for anything. And Michelle Obama, as a first lady, was wildly respected, wildly lauded, put on the cover of every magazine. The way that the industries, the messengers out there wrapped their arms around Michelle Obama and elevated her, and in kind did the exact opposite to Melania, derided her. If Melania Trump were a Democrat, she would be the greatest first lady this country has ever seen, without a doubt. And the way that she was treated, she didn't put herself in a position. She didn't want politics. She didn't enter into the idea of all of this to be a politician. She didn't marry a politician. She kind of got pulled into something that I don't think she ever thought she would be a part of, and she went along with it in a way that I thought was incredibly graceful. She never tried to put herself in the epicenter of the situation, and Michelle Obama was, through her own choices, aggressively active as the first lady, and I'm not judging her for that. But the idea that Melania and Donald presented themselves as a couple in the same way that Barack and Michelle presented them as a couple, oh my goodness gracious, that is not apples and oranges, that's apples and broccoli.
Yeah, even way after the fact, people still refer to Barack and Michelle Obama as like America's first couple.
Yeah.
You know, they're supposed to be that. They're the family we should all be looking toward, not Donald Trump and his third marriage.
And Andy, I was just gonna say, Andy, to your point, about how the marriages of these two individuals have been looked at. You're telling me that on one afternoon, I've got one eyebrow raised about the health level of the Obama marriage. And I'm saying this in a respectful way, suggesting that I am rooting for them because I don't want to see a marriage fail. And you're going to come at me and say, like, oh, but Trump? It's going to be a long 4 years.
The other thing, too, is that when Melania does something that is controversial, we have talked about that. Like, I really don't care, do you? The coach is where, if she does something that makes waves, we do talk about it.
Well, let's compare apples to apples. If Melania wouldn't have been at the funeral, if Melania wasn't going to be at the inauguration, would we be talking about that? You better believe we would be. That would be a point of discussion.
I don't know that I would talk about it if she weren't at the funeral. Of course,
I don't know.
If she weren't at the inauguration, I would. To your point, the funeral absence is that's different than that's something you go to that is way less political.
Yeah, it's a layup. Yeah, you don't really need to do anything about that.
And then you go on with your day. Let's take a quick break. We've got the Andy Fry YouTube live chat poll. Will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as Secretary of Defense? Yes or no? Want to know what you think about it? You got to leave your comments and tell us, and we'll feature some of them on the show before we wrap up with Ethan in the 2:45 second More Andy Fry Show right after this.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Have I talked to you about Tammy Duckworth yet? I have. Have you heard me talking about the Duckworth Group? You can go online to the DuckworthGroup.com and learn about the realtor you didn't know that you needed. You've been thinking about selling or buying, and you want to make sure that you go with the people who are going to get you the best success. That's why you choose the Duckworth Group. They are there to guide you through this purchasing process, and they are very, very helpful in making sure that you have the success that you need. They have 50-plus years of experience, and when you call them directly at 618-531-4652, you're getting a direct line to Tammy. They are the #1 team in the #1 office in the Metro East. But the Duckworth Group and their team with Tammy, Zach, Pat, Abby, and Trisha work on both sides of the river. So yes, I get to talk to you about working with the Duckworth Group in the Missouri side, on the Illinois side as well. They are successful in doing everything that they need to do in the background to make sure that you're set up for success. They know all the details you need to know about the communities that they work in. And folks, if you can hear me right now, they can help you. Reach out to the Duckworth Group and talk to them about listing your home or about purchasing in a new area around the Metro East and the Missouri side of the river. 618-531-4652. 618-531-4652. Online at theDuckworthGroup.com.
Hey, Jimmy Fallon here with a quick listening tip for you. If you miss Fox Across America or any of your other Fox News favorites, do not worry. I got you covered. You can stream previously aired shows with Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app. So if you're busy work days, it doesn't mean you have to miss out on the news. Listen to your Fox shows on your time with Odyssey. To get started, just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio. That's Odyssey, Audacy. I'm spelling it out in case you're a little slow like me.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-230-9333. 314-230-9333. That's 314-230-9333.
Hey, it's Mark Rearden for Underdog Sports, and if you're a Missouri resident like me, I've got great news. Underdog is now available to play in our state. It's the best place to cash in on all of your takes during the playoffs, which players are going off, which ones are ice cold. They have over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, and they have a champs game. And with that game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money by simply choosing higher or lower on stats. So yards, touchdowns, interceptions in war. Will Jordan Love throw more than 2.5 interceptions? Will Justin Jefferson have more than 3 TDs? You can cook up some really interesting entries. You can mix and match with hockey or the NBA. The Champs platform is the only platform that puts the power to cash out in your hands. And Underdog is the best place to play Champs. Download the app, sign up with promo code MarkR, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code MarkR. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Download the Underdog app today.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Odyssey is your home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today to listen to 97.1 FM Talk, even when you don't have a radio. Always streaming at 971talk.com. This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Do you feel like the mood of the country is going to be affected by Donald Trump's inauguration?
No, because I think the mood of the country is already there.
What's the new mood?
For patriotic, silent majority America, it's, this is going to be nice for once. For the left, I think they've kind of already had their meltdown, so I don't see another big one coming until he does something that really shocks them.
Had another conversation with somebody who said it's too quiet.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe not too quiet, but it's relatively quiet.
So you would say it's quiet, not
I would
it's
say
quiet. Too quiet.
No, I wouldn't add the too quiet part.
You would just say it's quiet.
I would say it's kind of quiet.
Yeah.
It's like the fresh snow.
I wonder if you could go into a room anywhere and say it's quiet and wait, and if there are other people, nobody says it's too quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would happen every time.
Well, unless you walk into a room that's very, very quiet because there are no people in it.
And the room goes, too quiet. And you're like, ah! I think people are going to get a pep in their step. And they're not going to know that it's Trump related.
Okay.
If the economy improves, doesn't that make people feel better?
Yes.
I always say our country is so blessed because of our free market capitalism that we get to dabble in socialism. You think you have so much. You think that things are so great and that times are so good and we're just Americans and we're just bathing in our wealth and excess that, of course, it makes sense mentally to think everybody should have this. Well, yeah, but you don't get it through socialism, and we usually have to do a little bit of a reset every once in a while. Unfortunately, in my lifetime, it was Obama in 2008, who wanted to fundamentally transform the United States of America. And, oh, by the way, it's through socialism. He was working his way into it. And when Donald Trump became the whiplash correction to that, people weren't ready for it.
I think we need to have on Inauguration Day,
Mm-hmm.
this coming Monday, the song from the original Willy Wonka movie. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it.
Keep going. We'll just use this.
Anything you want to do it. There's nothing to it. I think we need to have that queued up for moments when we're like, oh, that's a good one. Then we just play it.
Ethan? You can keep the idiot clip from earlier, and I'll raise you that. Oh, man. For people who weren't listening, I said I was an idiot.
Mm-hmm. There it is again.
Dang it. You tricked me. I don't appreciate that. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think that if your conscience, you're in a rage over Donald Trump thing, I think people are too tired of it.
I do too.
I think it's exhausting to go through that. I don't think that the right has Biden outrage the way the left has Trump outrage.
No, I don't either. You know what's weird, though, is that the Trump outrage thing, and people have said this, I think there's some truth to this, that he sort of has just worn you down. He's been around now for 9 years. So when he says something that's crazy and you're like, oh my gosh, he's going to make Canada the 51st state, the outrage machine that happens in the media or even maybe your relatives or your friends, it's like it's passé. It's like it's just get over it.
It's like living by a railroad track.
We've done this before. Yeah, it's not cool to be outraged anymore because we've already seen that play.
Isn't that the way we were in the 90s? Kind of like just annoyed and independent. The 90s, it's weird to reflect on the 90s, being a child of the 90s, and think about how good we had it. And a lot of that is pre-digital age. So we can't go back to that. But in the 90s, the idea of grunge music, it was just like about kind of like a classical liberalism that existed where it's like, I just want to be me. I just want to exist and succeed. And then all of a sudden really you've got grunge that led into alternative music being very successful. And then on top of that, it turned into emo. When we went emo, we screwed up.
Yeah, that was the mess.
That's what it's really all draws back to.
Yeah, because it was libertarian until emo made it like it was
whiny progressive stocking cap lady screaming in the street.
That was the crossover.
Occupy Wall Street.
Here's a question though.
Somebody check the timeline for Occupy Wall Street's intersection with the peak of emo music.
Emo would have come around like late George W. Bush, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, Avril Lavigne.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's alternative. She's not emo.
She was starting to put a foot in the door.
Avril Lavigne is like the year 2000, maybe even before that.
Yeah, she would have predated it, but it was like I would say 2005 was when emo really started to hit.
Mid 2000s for sure. And yeah, George Bush, Iraq War, people going, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Russell has a question for you on the chat there.
Okay.
I've got it featured up here. You can.
Russell, does Ryan sing that song while sitting on the bidet? Look, I sing a lot of songs while sitting on a lot of things. Does that answer your question?
You know what that's not? A no.
Most people practice their songs in the shower.
Well, it's because of the echo. You get the same thing with the bidet, though.
I do not think you're using the bidet correctly. I don't. I'm just convinced that your usage of the bidet, the reason you like it so much, is not why other people use it.
Do you sing in the shower?
I used to.
Before kids?
Yeah, listen, I hear you people. Message me and encourage me. I get zero time to myself. I'm trying to shampoo my hair and I'm being asked about Doc McStuffins. I have a picture from, it's probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I'm taking a shower and there are children that have pulled in chairs from other rooms to sit in front of the shower while I'm taking a shower so that we can talk and chat.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
My kids are old enough that they're not doing that anymore. But I remember the days when my two older would go to school. My youngest was still in preschool. And so it would just be me and him. Well, I got to take a shower. So I get in the shower. He would just come sit in the bathroom.
Oh, good, us time.
Yeah. Come sit in the bathroom with me.
I don't know. I mean, tell me. Let's just see here. I'm going to say this because if you've parented, you know that this to be true. Like, you don't get to use the restroom in any capacity by yourself. You just know that you will have. It's. I told my husband, I said, it's like being in a constant press conference.
Mm-hmm.
When are we gonna do this? What are we gonna eat? Are we gonna have this? I don't want that. You need to do better. I mean, my kids are great. I love all of them dearly, but you just answer questions all day, the same questions every day, and you can't really satisfy them.
You know what drives me crazy is when you're talking about something with your spouse. You think the kids are not around, and you're gonna say something that's like. Not controversial, but just that you don't want them to hear necessarily.
You want to watch Hot Frosty tonight?
Not necessarily, but something along those lines.
I'm not asking you.
Oh, I thought you were asking. No, I'm okay.
Well, the proper answer would have been no.
I've seen Hot Frosty is the answer.
With your wife.
With my wife. We had a nice time. But when you're saying something and you're like, this is not really for kids, and then from the other room, what? You're like, you're not even close.
Knock it off, kid. Not for you.
I don't think you heard what I said, but it's like you could hear that you shouldn't hear it, and then you yell, say it louder. What was that?
And then you could be talking directly to them, and they don't listen.
Yes, exactly.
Why is this?
I don't know.
Sin,
it's selective.
the fall.
It's probably the fall.
It's the fall.
I'll pray for them.
My favorite is, and by favorite, I mean the worst, is I'll be sitting on my phone. It's like, imagine I'm in frame. Like it's a show, you're watching a show, I'm sitting there and I'm on my phone. And then all of a sudden you just see out of the corner of the frame, your kid's head just like pops in to look over and to see what you're doing on your phone. And it's just like the slow head turn. What are you doing? And they're like, oh, sorry. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm sending a work email. This is of zero interest to you.
Or you go to click on a video because it looks like it's going to be a 15-second video that might make you laugh. You forgot to turn the sound all the way down, and so instantly all the kids are on your shoulders. What was that?
I gotta see.
What was that thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a guy falling down on a snowboard. Oh, yeah? Can we watch that? Can we watch 5 more?
They're so inquisitive. It's just everywhere you go. Mom. I know I'm going to miss it. But do you also kind of not miss it?
Yeah, you kind of not miss it.
You don't know yet.
I think that I do know because there are things about the baby phase that I look back on and I'm like,
I don't miss that.
Yeah, that was nice, but I don't miss a lot of it.
You don't want to do it. You cherish the memory.
Yes.
Don't need to revisit it.
That's what everybody says. That's what everybody says, is you're going to remember the good stuff. Totally true. But I try really hard to remember the bad stuff, Annie.
Birth control.
Yep.
I need feedback from y'all on the YouTube channel. Give me confidence, because all I ever tell myself is, endure it, Annie. One day this will be over and you'll be crying in your room sad. Isn't there also a part of you where you're like, I could go do whatever I want whenever I want? Good.
Oh, my friends who have kids that are of maybe not quite driving age, but close to it, say it's amazing. We can just go out on a date and the kids stay home.
Yeah. There's this,
I don't even know what that's like.
There's this comedian. I got to find out what her name was, and I think I sent it to my husband, so I think I might have it. I should play it for you guys sometime. But she's maybe in her mid-50s or whatever, and her bit is like, my daughter hates me or something like that. But she goes into this whole thing about how God prepares you to let go of those children that you love so dearly and you're so connected with and you're so emotional about letting them go by making your children hate you right before they leave. And you're like, bye. Or I gave the peace sign to the people who are watching here on the YouTube. Molly, my little 3-year-old Molly, when she takes a picture and she goes to pose, she puts her hands up with 2 peace signs and she goes, 2s.
That's cute.
We're going to do that forever. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X @Annie Fry Show.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the bagel loan guy. And when you go shop for your next mortgage, be it a new purchase on a home, very exciting, or a refinance on your mortgage, also, as an adult, very exciting because getting your rate lowered, pulling out some equity in your home for an exciting project, maybe to get rid of debt that you've been stressing about, all of these things can be done with a bagel loan from Stewart's American Mortgage, and you get to pay absolutely $0 in closing costs when you use the bagel loan. You reach out to Stewie directly at 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. You can also Google the bagel loan for more information. I myself have a 2-time refinance with Stewie. Both times I did it over the course of the time I've been talking with you, I was able to lower my rate. And now I have a fantastic rate and a low mortgage payment every month. If you're looking to lower your rate or to get a new mortgage, the bagel loan is for you. 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan to find out more information. NMLS number 226715.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Now's the time to shop limited-time doorbuster deals during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Save $50 on a Little Giant King Combo 6-foot ladder. Was $199, now $149. Plus, save $100 on a DeWalt XR 20-volt Power Stack 5-amp-hour battery. Was $199, now $99. Get these can't-miss deals now before they're gone. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Doorbusters valid 1/13 through 1/15. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
You entrusted a nursing home with the care of a loved one, but they violated that trust. If your family member has been the victim of nursing home neglect, call Onder Law at 844-BED-SORE.
Will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as Secretary of Defense? The hearings were today. That is today's YouTube live chat poll. Let us know. You got about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get your vote in. We'll be talking about that and give you the results at the end of the show. It is 2:43, 2:44. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Good afternoon. It's Mark Rearden. Welcome to a Friday. That means a Rearden Roundtable is coming up here.
Something's got a hold on me lately. No, I don't know myself anymore. Feels like the walls are all closing in, and the devil's knocking at my door. Whoa, out of my mind, how many times did
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
It's taking a toll on me, trying my best to keep from tearing the skin off my bones. Don't you know how to control when you're not next to
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. I am watching people react this inauguration, people being very excited for the inauguration. Fox is covering it right now, and I was just reading this headline. Joy Behar questions how Carrie Underwood could love country if she's performing for Trump. Joy Behar doesn't love her country if Trump is the president.
Quite a conundrum.
Yeah, it's just a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I really think we're going to see more people come out, and they're not going to Kid Rock the thing. They're not going to Elon Musk the thing where they're like, ooh, I went on the train. But they're going to be adjacent in a way that we haven't seen public figures be willing to. There's a huge PR move to make sure that you are light years away from being connected to anything Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's going to go away.
Well, I think it already has.
Well, we're seeing it, and the Joy Behars of the world are not the arbiters of who does and does not love their country.
Yeah, they can't figure out what happened. It was like they had the world figured out. They knew their place in it, and all of a sudden it is all shifted. You know, the moment that I realized things have changed, it was not Zachary Levi, although he was a big part of that.
Flynn Rider.
It was Sylvester Stallone speaking at a big Mar-a-Lago event.
That was big for you?
That was big.
As an Italian?
No.
What is
as a boxer,
I was oh.
who's kind of on the tail end of his career.
Like Christmas wrapping presents?
No. In the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Punching people in the face. That's what I mean.
If somebody throws a punch at you and they have a clue about fighting, what's your move?
Well, first you dodge, then you go for the gut.
Then you duck.
No.
And then you dive.
There's a move in boxing that we call zombieism. And it's totally counter to what you'd think it would be. It sounds like you just take a punch and then you fall down and you just kind of keep getting back up. That's the zombie thing. No. You miss the punch entirely because you're so fast, and then you bite them in the stomach.
We can arrange this. I just want to test your theory. I want to see how good you are.
I mean, see, like you guys are acting like, oh, you're making up this boxing stuff. How would I make up a move like that fast? Clearly, I've done this.
Oh, I believe that you've been in a fight and you've tried to bite someone in the belly. I believe that.
I'll tell you this right now. The fatter you are, the harder it is. So when somebody's really in shape, you can really latch on to some meat there with your teeth.
Oh.
There are very few times
I'm disgusted
that I look
at the
over
thought that
and go, she really doesn't know what to say.
Well,
that was one of them.
I'm at a fork in the road in a moment like that. I have to decide because I disagreed with what you said. But
You disagreed with the premise? Like that it would be easier to latch on to the fat?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm very angry that you made me consider that. This is a professional talk radio show that people tune into for their information. And I'm like, well, I don't believe you. I think it'd be easier to bite a fat belly. And then I'm mad.
You think
yes, I'm mad.
Well, it's the reason you haven't
No,
thought of it.
No. We're not discussing it.
That's
the problem.
You've probably seen the term zombie boxing before.
No, I have not.
But you never researched it because you had no reason to.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I clearly do. I'm on the tail end of my career.
I think just waiting for a opportunity like Mike Tyson.
Uh-huh.
We can get Jake Paul.
I'll fight Mike Tyson in 25 years. Well, I'll be older too, though.
Definitely be zombie
I'll fight
boxing.
Mike Tyson when he's that old, but I'm now. If you can set that up, I'll do it.
But I'm now.
Why do you think it would be easier to bite someone in the belly who's ripped?
Because of the meat factor. This isn't even up for
What
debate.
what about the fat factor? Why are we debating it? That's the question.
If
but here
the belly
we are.
is so big that it is like a nice rotund Santa belly, it's just hard because there's nothing to latch onto.
It's not hard.
No,
That's
no,
the problem.
but it's all pushed out. No, now this is like a freshly
Are you
fat belly.
familiar? Are you familiar with well-toned abs? Do you know?
No.
Okay. Well then,
I don't keep good care of
if
myself.
Ethan comes in here to comment on this, he's not listening.
We're talking about sports here, Ethan, so this is probably your territory. And let's just reset. In boxing, if you fight what's known as commonly a zombie boxer,
This is some kind of sports.
Don't entertain it.
and the person, somebody takes a swing at the zombie boxer, he dodges, he goes down, he bites you in the stomach. Is it easier to bite a tone belly or a big fat belly?
How am I supposed to not entertain this?
Just answer the question. Would it be easier to bite a fat belly or a tone belly?
I think we got Friday's poll.
This is good that this is our last show. I'm glad we're going out on a high note.
Processing this.
Just sports analytics. Do Moneyball on this.
Okay, so
Ryan, real quick, while he's thinking, just go ahead and read JB's comment there on the live stream that we've featured here. It's just an important.
Does Wiggins have his resumes up today?
Okay, yeah, go on. Ethan?
I think that, you have to think that because, bigger stomach, you don't have to go as far to get to, what you're going to bite.
Ooh,
So
the
you have-
reach factor.
You have that disadvantage, but you could also keep in mind because it's a little more blubbery, as you're trying to bite, your teeth could slip if you don't have good grip on it. That's my thought. If it's toned, you're going to have to reach a little bit farther depending on, how big the belly is, but you're going to be able to sink your teeth into that a little bit better.
Look, I just want to say thank you for living in the real world for once.
Yeah, this is the real world. This is what reality is
Are you
right
impressed
here.
with my analysis?
Yes, I am. I think you need to take that to wherever the next big sportscasting job that you go to, and you need to remember that. And hopefully it's boxing.
Does that qualify me for color commentary?
Bury this conversation as much as you can before you go in for that interview. Pretend it didn't happen. Ender said Ethan's 100% right. I don't know about what, but here we are.
I just love that you guys had polar opposite reactions to my answer. You saying bury it and you saying use that to get your next job.
Because he thinks he's right.
Well, it
That's all that matters to
really
him.
just tells where you guys are in your lives.
It's one thing we do agree on. Annie at the very beginning of a very long broadcasting career, me at the very end of a boxing career that's not necessarily illustrious, but at least exists.
Yeah, it's there.
Also not true. It does not exist. The limit does not exist.
Very long boxing career.
Ender says, as a fat person, I concur with Ethan's conclusions.
Because people have tried to bite you after you took a swing at them?
Quick Rick says, great filler for dead air. I agree with
Dead
Rick.
air because of the boxing thing.
Oh,
or because of the zombie thing. Not boxing.
All of this started because you said that you were a big fan of Sylvester Stallone, not because you're Italian, but because you're
I'm
a boxer, which
Yeah.
is full of crap. Do you feel like you've seen any other celebrities be willing to be like post-election? The reality is now that Donald Trump is the president.
I don't know that post-election, but these things continue to happen, like the Carrie Underwood thing is the next one. I don't think people are lining up to get on TikTok and go, I'm a Trump supporter now. But I think when opportunities arise, they're not going to shy away from them. Kurt Russell was one that shocked me. You saw him walking around wearing shirts that I don't even know if they directly said MAGA, but they would say things that he was like fine with showing off the fact that he was going to vote for Trump.
TMZ, once again, is covering Donald Trump and the Village People, and they have a woman on there right now saying, like the song that they play, he's like, they're gonna have thousands of people doing the Trump dance all at once, and she thinks that's kind of funny. That song isn't about politics as much as it's just about making people feel good, and it's really ironic to me that is a connection to the Trump MAGA movement, is this idea of feeling good, which again, ironically, is associated with the word joy, which the other side tried to force feed you, and you're like, this doesn't feel very joyful. But they had Ivanka Trump up there just before on TMZ, and they were just talking about how she's doing, I don't know, it was like a story. I was like, wait, I'm always waiting to hear the angle. When do you report, when do you spoon feed us the story about Trump so you can remind us why we hate him? And culture is shifting in a way where you don't have to always show up to say why you hate Trump so much. And if Donald Trump is able to do what he says he's going to do, if what Steve Moore has told us on Mondays about the economy, if Donald Trump is going to make an impact on our understanding of our own personal economies in our checking accounts and the ability to build a savings account, to pay down debt that we might have, to be able to afford things in the grocery store, at the gas pump, that is going to put a pep in people's step, and they may not even realize that Donald Trump is responsible for it. And that's okay with me. I long for the days where you don't have to predefine who you are or who you associate with based on who they vote for. Because we all remember a time, or at least Ethan, I hope you do too, when that wasn't the prevailing factor in a relationship, is that you were politically aligned.
Or it doesn't destroy your career.
Also true.
Because of cancel culture, just because of, I mean, Hollywood is so influential. Like stars, it's changing, yes, but stars have a lot of pull. And when you see them start to not care, that indicates a lot.
Yeah, or their PR firms aren't telling them that they have to be vocally opposed or vocally in favor, or vocal warriors for particular things. Like people are done with that. And COVID had a lot to do with that too. The YouTube live chat poll for today, Ethan's going to give us these results here in a second. Will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as Secretary of Defense? Brad, what do you think?
I think he will. I don't think that there was anything that I saw today outside of Democrat temper tantrums. None of that's going to move the needle. I think the people like Joni Ernst, I watched her testimony. I think she's a yes. So I think that he'll get all the Republican votes that he needs,
right?
And there might be Democrats.
Yeah, I do. I think Collins and Murkowski, some of those middling Republicans are going to have a tough time because he's kind of divisive, but I still think he will.
Ethan?
I'm going to agree with my two pals between Brad
Four
and
yeses.
Ryan and say yes.
Okay, what do the people say?
The people answer today's YouTube live chat poll. 324 of them specifically Answering the question, will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as Secretary of Defense? 96%
That's resounding.
say yes. 4% no.
4%. We appreciate the 4% here, too. We're 4%ers and 96%ers. Thank you for being here today. We will continue to cover these hearings as they happen, and Mark Rearden will as well on The Mark Rearden Show, coming up next.
So beat the drum with me. I'm not America's sweetheart.
Do you want to kickstart planning for your retirement this year? Well, I know a quick and easy way to do it. It's a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Kind of like getting the Cliff Notes on how you could make your money go a lot further in retirement. Hey guys, it's Dave Glover from KMOX. It's never too early. It's never too late to get control over your finances and your financial future. You can do it with a one-night class taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience. They're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You're going to learn about tax saving strategies, IRA and 401k withdrawals, Roth conversions, Social Security, and more. There's no cost. All you have to do is bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There's still openings for this month's classes and next. So call 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110. That's my personal Dave Glover KMOX number, 314-350-8110 for Financial and Tax Architects.
The 28th Winter Warm-Up is coming to Busch Stadium and Ballpark Village January 18th through the 20th. The event features 3 days full of non-stop Cardinals family-friendly fun, including tours of the Cardinals clubhouse, admission to the world-class Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum, plus access to the Cardinals Care Store, autographs, auctions, and an exhibit hall full of sports memorabilia and more. Tickets are on sale now. Proceeds benefit Cardinals Care and its mission to care for kids in the community. Find more details at cardinals.com/WWU.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino